You're just moments away from a brand new episode of WTF Nations Radio's Pop Culture Warrior, hosted by the dynamic duo CQ and Radar. Pop Culture Warrior is your number one source for all things entertainment. If it's happening in TV, movies, video games, or comedy, they're all over it. And don't forget to say hi in the comments below. And while you're at it, let the boys know what you think and what you'd like to hear them talk about. Now strap in and get comfortable, because you're in for one hell of a ride. This is Pop Culture Warrior. Shots.
Broadcasting live from the basement of the Pentagon. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Welcome one and all. Today is May 18th, 2021. This is episode 57 of Pop Culture Warrior, the show where I stay up to date on all the ins and outs of what's happening in pop culture so you don't have to. I am CQ. I am your pop culture warrior. And with me, as always, is our very own executive producer of the show. He's the man in the bubble. He's the guy that we couldn't do this without. He is the voice of the unpop cultured Mr. Radar. What's up, buddy?
What's up, man?
How you doing, man?
What's going on, everybody?
You're like way low. Let me turn you up. Boost the bass in that bad boy.
Get my mic closer.
No. That was on my end. I had you all the way down.
All right then. Either way, we'll do both.
Yes. Oh man, it is Tuesday night. Thank you guys for joining us. This is gonna be a super fun episode, man. I'm super psyched. You guys ever watch the show How I Met Your Mother? We have the creator of the show, the writer of the show, the executive producer of the show, joining us later tonight for a lovely interview and talking about all about the show and other things he has coming up down the works. You also heard the song before the show started, which was "Hey Beautiful" by the Solids, his very own band that performed the song.
It's his band?
It's his band. He's actually, I think, vocals and guitar for the band, and he created, that's the song for How I Met Your Mother. It's, the last couple seconds of it is the song, but that was the whole song, "Hey Beautiful," which is actually a pretty catchy song, man.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah, so
you're already dropping shit. Oh, you're dropping knowledge.
Dropping knowledge, baby. That's what we do here. Little bit of housekeeping. Oh man, everybody's lighting up the chats. I love it. It's exciting, man. Little housekeeping. I got some exciting news. We were just talking about it in private, but guys, we have hit 750 some odd followers on the page, on the Pop Culture Warrior specific Facebook page, which means it is time for a giveaway. So this week, in the lead up to next week's episode, I'm going to put out some information how you can join the epic, awesome giveaway. It'll be a like and share kind of thing. And when you do, you're entered into the raffle. We'll spin the wheel live, and somebody is going to get an amazing prize package. So, yeah.
Stoked.
So, it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a time. So, yes, super pumped for that. Like I said, we've got Carter Base coming on a little later. Thank you guys for joining us tonight, man. I already see you guys all out there, man. Appreciate you. Mike, Dan, Jenny, William, Scott. What else we got? Devin, Richard, man, Miles, man. Thank you guys for checking us out. Thank you guys for participating tonight.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fun. It was gonna be fun.
You know, I mean, it's a Tuesday night, man. Where else you got to be? Where else?
Well, we're here every Tuesday.
That's what we're doing. I'm saying them.
Fuck yeah, dude.
That's what I'm saying them. They taking their time to be here, so we appreciate it.
Absolutely, they are, and thanks. Do it more often. Every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday, right here,
hang out
right now. Yes. Off the top, because we have so much to talk about today. Jupiter's Legacy is on Netflix. The first full season is available on Netflix, and I watched it. I watched the whole thing.
I was going to ask if you were going to.
I did. Hey, Joshua, it's Wednesday morning for you. Well, thanks for joining us on this Wednesday morning. We appreciate you, buddy. So I did watch the whole thing. I think it was 8 episodes. I'm a little torn. And if anybody has seen Jupiter's Legacy on Netflix, man, let me know what you think. Because I'm a little torn. While I do think, it's pretty faithful to the comic book adaptation, and I mean, the costumes are on point, right? They're everything what, you would think a superhero show would look like. And visually speaking, the graphics are pretty good. I feel like it struggled to find its footing. Like, it's not a bad show by no means. I mean, we've seen some bad shows. Not a bad show.
Yeah.
But it just, the tone kept shifting. And I don't want to spoil it because there are some like twists and turns along the way. So I'm trying to think about how's the best way I can share my thoughts without spoiling it for if you want to watch it. Is it worth a watch? I mean, if you got nothing else to do, it's definitely worth a watch. If you like the superhero genre, which, we all love the superhero genre here. That's why we do this show. It's worth a watch. But don't expect something. I feel like they kept building to something that just never got there. And obviously, okay. I'm sure in a season 2 and a season 3, we'll probably hit some of the big stuff. But yeah, there was a lot of like every episode felt like this big build up to something, and then it kind of just petered out.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's worth it.
Are they going to do another season of it? Like maybe. That's
I would assume. It's meant to be serialized. It's one of those things that it'll get there. Maybe.
It just needs a little bit of nudging.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that it's on the flip side, if you guys have seen Invincible, which is the animated series based on the comic book graphic novel by Robert Kirkman, Invincible. That was a phenomenal first season. I think they did it right because there is a cliffhanger. There is a oh no, what now? Mm-hmm. But it felt like the first season paid off. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the tightrope you got to walk for a good show. You have to pay off everything you've built up in the first season, but then also leave us a little bit more to dangle there for the second season. And that's where I felt Jupiter's Legacy was kind of like all cliffhanger and not really a lot of payoff. But speaking of Invincible, they did get picked up for season 2 and a season 3. So you have 2 more seasons minimally of Invincible to look forward to on Amazon Prime. So we got that. Yeah, what else we got? Oh, there's so much. Let's do movie
How much longer do we have till Loki? We have 2 weeks?
They moved it up actually a couple days. Funny enough, it was supposed to be released on a Friday, and now they're releasing it on a Wednesday. But I think we still We still got
That's
a couple.
dumb. I thought the Friday thing seems to work. I think.
There's no reason, rhyme, or why. They just
Are they going to do all of them on
they're gonna be
Wednesdays or
all
just
on
the?
Wednesdays. Every week
Huh.
on Wednesday. Hey Pete, what's up, bud? I see you out there. Thanks for
Yeah.
joining.
I don't like it. I don't like. I'm gonna go on record and say I don't like that.
I
I
don't
don't.
know. I don't know how I feel about it. I have to
Because I've already got that routine going.
right.
You know what I mean?
Well, you can still
And
do it. You can still
no, but in the
watch
middle
it.
of the week, I'm so busy, dude. I'm so busy in the middle of the week. I don't have
I'm
time
saying it comes out on Wednesday. You can still watch it on
on
Saturday
Friday.
or Friday
Yeah.
or whenever you would normally watch it. It's just
No,
coming out
because I
sooner.
know I can't. I can't, and here's why. Because you watch it on Wednesday,
Yes.
so I have to.
And I'll start tweeting you about it, texting you
Yeah,
about
you're
it.
like texting me at like 5 in the morning. I'm like, dude, did you see it yet? I'm like, no,
Yeah, yeah.
no, I'm still asleep.
I mean, it is what it is. It is. I'm with Scott, man. Just watch it on Friday, then, man. Don't be a baby. Watch it on
Whatever.
Friday.
I'll still watch it. I mean, I don't know, because the more I was kind of watching. I don't remember what it was, Screen Crush maybe or something. I just was flipping through YouTube and something popped up about it.
Yeah,
I'm really actually getting kind of excited about it.
it should be. All right, I got some
All right,
movie news. Movie news. Oh shit. You know what? I kind of made you go away. Hang on a second.
whatever.
Let's bring it back. There you are. Hey, buddy. Welcome back. All right. So in movie news, I've got some pretty cool stuff. Let's see. Oh, yes. Okay. We've talked about this for a while. Spider-Man, right? The new Spider-Man that's currently filming. We talked about, we know Alfred Molina is coming back as Doc Ock. We know Jamie Foxx is coming back as Electro. We have postulated that
Wow,
Tobey
that's a good word.
Maguire and Andrew Garfield might be coming back as Spider-Mans, in some cameo form, way or another, that they'd make an appearance. They've both categorically denied it. They have both come out on record going, nah, that's not happening. That's not happening. But the more that they do, the more I'm kind of like, yeah. Because if you weren't, you wouldn't even, don't even mention it. Like, well, I'm not going to comment on that because I'm not involved. But the
Right.
whole, I'm telling you, they definitely, I'm not in it. I haven't read anything, blah, blah, blah. You're selling it a little too hard. But
Well, I mean, that maybe he's not right. He's not wrong.
baby. But here, they're a new development. This was a photo, apparently taken on the set of the current Spider-Man and zoomed in and enhanced. So I'm gonna show it to you here. Now the top part is the photo proper, and you can kind of see Tom Holland's Spider-Man and a bunch of people in the filming set and everything. And then you see a guy in a beard, and they're swearing, not you, but they're swearing. If you clean it up, you zoom it in, that is Tobey Maguire with a full-on radar beard. What say you, fine people, and you, Radar? Does this not appear to be Tobey Maguire in a CGI cat suit? In a very Peter Parker, old man Peter Parker-ish kind of a look to him,
Yeah, kind of.
right? I mean, this was
But not if he's gonna go old man, he should be gray bearded. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it's not
Grown up, but he's got a little
old
grown up
man.
beard.
Yeah, we're talking the same age Tobey Maguire is, and probably in his late 30s, early 40s.
That's not old man. That's not old man.
Well, okay, I said old man. I'm not saying that's what they're going. They're not doing
Oh,
old
okay.
man
All
Logan.
right then.
I'm just saying he's an older Peter. He's not the 16-year-old Peter Parker. He's
All right. I'll give you that.
mid 30s. Yeah, Joshua says he can't really tell with the beard. It is hard to say. It's a super grainy photo. It's
him.
been edited. It's been enhanced. It's been zoomed in. So I mean, could it be some? But here's the thing. Here's my counter argument to those that say he might not be. Let's say he's just random guy. Why is he in a CGI mocap suit? Like, you don't put background characters or background actors in mocap suits. You know what I mean? Like, that's for when the person is going to be fully digitally edited in, or their costume. Robert Downey Jr. wore them all the time, and yeah, I think that I think it's telling. I think it's telling, and I think they're going to categorically deny it until they announce it.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. Marvel's pretty good about that.
Yeah, you can go down the list.
But also, the Marvel's been pretty good too in some of the movies about like pranking people about shit too.
Sure,
you know what I mean?
Sure,
you might
sure.
have just been like in the neighborhood. They're like, "Hey, put this on quick. We're gonna fuck with people." You know what I mean? They've done that. They've written stuff on cases and stuff, and like kind of let stuff leak. You know what I mean? And then it never materializes in movies. And some of it is they don't have time to. They filmed it, but they didn't have time to it got cut on the editing table or whatever. Yeah. But some of it's just been plain flat misdirection too.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that it's going to play a part. You can look back at before Benedict Cumberbatch was announced as Doctor Strange. He said, "Nope, I'm not doing it." Then he gets announced. I'm
going to say this though. This is funny to me, and I'm not trying to interrupt or whatever. This is so funny to me. Is we do this like everyone does this like Marvel movies and like Star Trek, right?
Sure.
But like no one gives two flying fucks about like 50 First Dates or some shit like that. You know what I mean? No one's like, oh well,
we have to tear it apart, detail by detail.
Like, yeah. But Marvel, everyone's like, oh, what's this? Then they analyze every picture and text and tweet to try to learn something new.
Oh yeah,
it's kind of
there's whole channels on YouTube devoted to like taking a trailer and doing it frame by frame to see every little detail they can get information on, and a lot of times they're wrong.
Watching movies at like a quarter speed to get every Easter egg and shit.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah. I mean, hey,
we should do that. We can make our millions doing that.
It's a passion. I believe it's something that people are so in love with.
Is it a passion or a disorder?
No.
Some of those people are kind of borderline on it.
Maybe an obsession. Maybe an obsession. I'll give you that. But I like to think of it as a passion. As this is when there's so much strife and hate and ugliness in the world, this is something fun that we can have fun with and cling to and enjoy. I'm at a point where like the speculation is half as much fun as the actual finished product, right?
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, sometimes we speculate and get so excited about certain things. Like in my head, is this going to be the Spider-Man team-up movie?
Yeah, or fucking mutants.
Or mutants, and then if that doesn't happen, it can be a big letdown. So you have to kind of take the good with the bad. But that's the Spider-Man update. I just thought that it was definitely interesting to see someone that looks like that. So. What else do we got?
I think it is kind of hard to say that's not him. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean sure, of course you couldn't say for sure, but I think it's him. Another one. So in other Marvel news, is an interesting thing. So Bautista, Dave Bautista, who has played Drax the Destroyer since Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. He was recently approached during an interview about, hey, maybe there should be like a Drax and Mantis film. And he's quoted as saying I don't think there'd be very much interest. It doesn't really fit into the way things have been mapped out. And here's why I bring it up. But other than that, no. I mean, as far as my obligations, I've got Guardians 3, plus the holiday special that they're filming. And that's probably going to be the end of Drax. Now, when that quote got blown up and they're like, oh my God, this is the last time we'll see Drax in the MCU, he himself then responded to that going, look, Drax isn't going anywhere. He just won't be played by me. By the time Volume 3 comes out, I'll be 54 years old, for God's sake. I'm expecting everything to start sagging any second now. So that's him saying, like, look, I'll be done with the Drax character after we film this next thing. Not saying that, Marvel's done with it. But then you get a tweet from James Gunn, the director and writer for these films, and he himself said, look, there's no Drax without you. You are the MCU's Drax the Destroyer. As far as I'm concerned, you could never be replaced. And he says you have the right to do whatever you want with your acting choices. And also mentioned, I would recast many actors without batting an eye, but I wouldn't recast Drax, and that's it. Simple.
Oh,
so
that's so sweet.
It's nice. It's nice. It also, kind of gives us an endpoint. Now, the same time this came out, I found this. I like to look at the message boards of like the people, who like to, like you said, dig a little deeper than they really should. Someone posted this. I'm gonna share a picture here. Now, they took the title card of Guardians of the Galaxy and noted, that's the same color as Groot. He dies in the movie. Then they took the title card of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Said, that's the color of our boy Yondu. He dies in the movie. Now let's take a look at the color of the title card for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. That is suspiciously colored like Drax the Destroyer. So, is that a hint in and of itself that Drax the Destroyer will die in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3? Who's to say? This is exactly what we are just talking about. The people that love to just dig down into the nitty gritty and go maybe a step too far. But I've seen flat earthers take less than this and make something of it. So that's, to me, this is pretty concrete evidence.
Right.
It's not. This is completely speculative.
It's whatever. It's probably true, though.
Hey, Ginger, she says, hey, 54 isn't that old. I agree with you. I think he means in the terms of, he's a big bodybuilder kind of guy, and he doesn't have it in him to, maintain that physique and that I can't imagine what his diet and exercise regime must be at 54 years old to stay in that level of shape. It's just, you look at guys like but Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger and, all these guys who were huge, muscly dudes in their heyday. It gets hard to, oh my God, I saw a picture of Stone Cold Steve Austin recently. Oh man. And, it's the way of life. It is the way of life. These things happen. Our bodies, happen. And Mike says he's got to consider Stuber too. That's right. Stuber was not a bad movie. I'll give him that. I liked Kumail Nanjiani in it, and our boy Batista. One day I'm gonna have Batista on. We're gonna talk some stuff.
That'd be fun.
All right. Last up in our movie category, I got not one, but 2 new trailers to showcase today. And we'll kind of just get our thoughts in general about them. So first up, ladies and gentlemen, is the trailer for the upcoming, I hate to say it's another world building kind of movie, but it's the origin story, the G.I. Joe story, Snake Eyes. Here you go. I should probably take myself off mute when we're talking. So that was the trailer for Snake Eyes, G.I. Joe Origins. Now, this is very much in the vein of what they were trying to do when they did, what was it, Wolverine, X-Men Origins, or X-Men Origins Wolverine. It's one of those things that's, I hope, the hope is, don't just make a movie because you're trying to build a team up, right? When they made Iron Man, yes, there was a small part in the back of your head, okay, they're working towards Avengers. But realistically, they made the best Iron Man movie they could make. They made the best Captain America movie they could make, the best Thor movie they could make. I'm not sure about the Hulk movie that they made, but they gave it a goddamn try. The point is that they made the best individual movie they can, not worrying yet about the world building. That came later. So I'm hoping, as a guy who loved G.I. Joe as a kid, and especially Snake Eyes. He was my favorite character, like so many others. I just hope that they do a good job with it. You know, the whole thing about Snake Eyes is that he's a mystery, that he was fully clothed. You never saw his face, his eyes. He never spoke. That was this whole shtick. So to make a whole movie about his origins, I don't know, because what does that mean moving forward? Let's say they do a world building. Let's say they do a big G.I. Joe team up movie. Is that guy just now never going to talk or be seen ever again? like, do you even need the actor at that point? You can just have a stunt double in the suit doing all the stuff and just like,
right.
So I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. It looks good. The movie,
it does look good.
The trailer looks nice. I mean, you got your kung fu's and your swipes and your ninja swords and your shootings and your flippings and your cars exploding. I mean, that's what we've come to expect. That's what we come to love. So, I mean, I don't know. I just I don't know, man. I
think it'll be good. I mean, I hope they make it good. And then, like you said, like, and that's, I mean, that's what I said. Make it good. Make it good. Make it worth watching.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be like influencing you, and I feel like you're influencing me because I'm just like, make it good. Just
that's all they gotta fucking do, dude.
Just make it good.
All they gotta do. Make a good fucking movie. And this is like and I understand trying to tie, like, Marvel has done a fantastic job of tying everything together, making this big universe, right? Yep. But at the end of the day, if Iron Man sucked, that first Iron Man, when it came out, if it would have fucking sucked, it wouldn't have went anywhere.
Yep.
It went the route of the 100 fucking Batmans that DC has done and like all this other shit, right?
Sure.
They made it good, and then they continue to make good movies.
Yeah.
And
after the fourth or fifth one finally built into something.
Some of them, like Ultron, like Age of Ultron. I don't feel like that's not the best standalone movie.
Sure.
That really, you kind of have to have some background to understand Ultron.
Well, yeah, because it's an Avengers movie. That's why. Like it's not I'm saying, like, a standalone.
Okay, but I mean, some of the other ones too, like we'll go Hulk or Iron Man or whatever. They're standalone movies. They're good. You could just say they couldn't have made anything else. They could have had that and would have told the story of the Hulk. And I think that Black Widow coming up is going to be kind of the same way. You could kind of watch that, and you can kind of, to me, it's kind of telling that it's not really fitting into the current timeline. I mean, it does and it doesn't. Right. It's not like it's like everything else has been like, oh, after Endgame, now this is, after the blip, this is what's happening. And then they come in and say, okay, well, this happened before all of that. This is, kind of her, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're doing a good job of building this franchise and putting out good movies that if you only ever watched, if I can take one of my kids who's never seen any Marvel movie and have them watch Iron Man, and they're going to like it because it's a good movie, or Captain America, the first Avenger, because it's a good movie, if other studios can kind of mimic that, they can have a nice, I'm not going to say every movie that Marvel makes is great, right? That's
right. I mean,
that's not to say, but you can build a franchise on good movies alone. Yeah. And have a story to tell with it. That's the best. That makes it good. That makes us look forward to the next one.
Yeah.
Right. So they're kind of in that. Let's make a good one, and people will continue to watch our shit. When we put something out, people who may not be the biggest fans of G.I. Joe, right? Yeah. They make a good movie. They see a good movie. Yep. Same with Star Wars, or saying,
sure.
If they make good stuff, people come back and watch more of it.
Which, by the way, I'm going to report you for child abuse. Not having your children see the Marvel stuff, that's abuse.
I was just using that as an excuse.
Okay. I was going to say, if they hadn't, I mean, that's at this point, that's just neglect.
Honestly, one of my youngest daughter turns 5 on Monday.
And she should have at least seen Guardians of the Galaxy by now.
I think she has, actually.
And Scott, I see your comment. Is this going to be a reboot, or is this a prequel to G.I. Joe? So, a prequel in the sense that this leads to G.I. Joe? Yes. Not the previous movie G.I. Joe. That's over. That's done. This is a new... They're starting from scratch. They're starting from fresh. This is a new story, a new timeline, a new universe, whatever you want to call it. But it is a prequel in the sense that it's an origin story for the character of Snake Eyes, figuring out that, you know, when he finishes here, he will eventually team up with the G.I. Joe. I've heard that they're working on a Lady Jane series. There's like the Mortal Kombat movie, they're going to say, well, let's see how this one does, and we'll see if we're going to do that world building. They'll sprinkle the crumbs and then see if, it's going to do something later. But all right, so that was trailer number 1. Now this one, I feel like people are one way or the other on it. And we'll see how we fall to it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
I say either, you say either, I say neither, and I say neither, neither. Let's call the whole thing off. Ta-da! Catch up.
Excuse me?
Yummy.
Good evening, Eddie.
Hey, Mrs. Chen.
Good evening, Venom.
How, Mrs. Chen?
He says hi.
One is the loneliest number that you'll ever do.
I've been thinking about you, Eddie.
Two can be as bad as one. It's the loneliest number.
Because you and I are the same. Every decision we ever make. Who do we leave behind? And how do we leave them? Waiting in the darkness for the rescuer who never comes. Welcome back, Eddie Brock. It's been a long time. Miss you so much. Soon come chaos. Chaos soon come.
Is the loneliest number that you'll ever do.
The chocolate delivery hasn't arrived yet.
No!
We had a deal.
What's gonna happen? You gonna stop protecting me?
I am happy to eat, Mrs. Chen.
No, you cannot eat, Mrs. Chen. What? Nothing?
All right. Oh, wait. Why do I still have that thing up? Yeah, so that was Venom, and yeah. Oh man, my thoughts, my my first thing is like, why is Venom doing like the worst Schwarzenegger impression ever?
Right.
Oh, I am the Venom. Like, it's just like there's so many like imposing deep bass kind of voices they could have did, and it's kind of this goofy. It reminds me of like this big jock who's like super dumb. It just I don't know. As far as I was talking to Ice about this last week. The choice of Woody Harrelson for Carnage. Woody is an excellent actor who has done some amazing work. This character, this thing that he's trying to do for this movie, I don't know. I haven't seen enough of it yet. I was like really excited when they first announced it, and he was at the end of the first movie, and he's teased, and I was like excited about it because Woody could play the crazy guy, he can play the psycho, right. But in this, again, this is just tiny little snippet we've seen, right? Can't really judge the book by its cover, really, but in this tiny snippet, I don't know. I don't know. It's a weird thing. I remember seeing the trailer for The Dark Knight and instantly recognizing, oh my God, Heath Ledger crushed it, as like you could see it in the trailer. Like, holy shit, this is gonna be something. And I don't get that feeling with this one. I'll say, like, even watching, like, what was it, the last Fast and the Furious, when Idris Elba, he's playing the bad guy, like in his little snippets of the trailer, you're like, oh, he's an imposing bad guy. Like, you just that came across. And in this one, it doesn't, Cletus Cassidy, the character he's playing, is this like psycho beyond all psychos. He's the serial killer that haunts your dreams. And he's just kind of coming off as like the creepy uncle, or like maybe like a pedophile. I don't know. Like, he seems weird, but I don't know. He's just not striking me as the imposing. I'm not getting that vibe, which is a core part of Carnage. You know what I mean? It's because it amplifies what he is as a person. It's not necessarily just the symbiote. It's not necessarily just the person. It's the combination. But anyway, I'm going too far with it. But
no,
Scott,
just keep going.
I hear you.
Man.
Yeah, I hear you, buddy. I like Harrelson. I think he can do it. Yeah, I believe in him. I believe in him. I believe in him. I believe in him. I think he can do it. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. I think he can. I think he can. I think he can. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, and yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Joshua says that trailer was all over the place. First half was like, dude has to deal with retarded slime. Second half was like a sci-fi horror. Yeah. You're right. It doesn't feel like it has a voice. Like, it's just kind of a little bit in everything. There's not and I think, who was it? Andy Serkis is the guy that's directing this movie, who's, famous for playing, Golem, right? He played, what's it? The ape, Caesar the ape in Planet of the Apes, and obviously Claw in the Marvel movies. So, I mean, the guy's got a history in mocap. He's got a history in sci-fi, fantasy. I again, everything felt like this is it. They can do this. They can, and Venom, the first movie, wasn't a bad movie. It wasn't a great movie. A little.
I didn't really care for it.
Yeah, it was a little all over the place.
Yeah, I don't know.
Certain things, it seemed like silly choices, but
it seemed very it seemed like it was trying to be serious, but it's actually funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if they would have made it funny, it probably would have been better. I think.
It was the tone was a little helter-skelter all over the place. Now, per the director, I wanted to add this too, because a big question is always, where does Spider-Man fit into this mythos? Because in the comic books, you don't have Venom without Spider-Man. Like, they are intrinsically linked. So, specifically in this universe, in this world that they're building, this is what the director said. He said, obviously, there are links between Venom and Spider-Man in the Marvel Universe and the Spider-Man story as a whole. But in this, we're treating this very much as its own world. The Venom story is his own world. There are little nods and little moments, like you see in the trailer, the one guy was reading the Daily Bugle newspaper. And so you see little things like that. But on the whole, Venom is completely unaware at this point of other characters like Spider-Man and everything else going on in like New York and stuff. He says that that's how we've chosen to play this particular episode of the movie, but obviously we'll see, what little things they put in there and what turnabout happens. But yeah, it's always felt a little strange. Spider-Man's not part of it. And they're obviously trying to tie it in. Like, we see the Daily Bugle newspaper, which again, I feel like they're not in sync, because in this reality, we know from the end of Spider-Man Far From Home, the Daily Bugle isn't really a newspaper. It's a .net or whatever. Like, it's a website, it's a vlog, it's a, one of these talk show kind of spoof things. And so for them to now flip it over to San Fran and some dudes reading the Daily Bugle newspaper, it's like, wait, which is it? We know that the Morbius movie is connected to the Spider-Man universe because we saw Michael Keaton returning as the Vulture briefly in a cameo for that, and we saw Spider-Man's pictures in the background in one of the shots. So we know that's connected to the Spider-Man universe. So it's so weird that they'd be like, yeah, it's fine. You can be connected in this universe, but Venom, which is, like hand in hand with Spider-Man, let's let him do his own thing. So it's just it's Sony, and I don't know what they're trying to do, but it's weird, and it's confusing, and it scares me.
I'm also kind of curious as to why Marvel is like part of it, but not. What's going on with it?
Well, it's because Sony owns the right. Like, this is it. This is the last property that Marvel hasn't gotten their rights back. They've gotten all the Fox characters. They've gotten all the Netflix characters. They've gotten everybody back. The last pillar that they haven't been able to get back is Sony. What Sony has, and Sony has basically Spider-Man and everything that's associated to it. So, Spider-Man, obviously all the symbiotes, Kraven the Hunter, the Doc Ock, all the villains, the Rogue Gallery, but that also includes like Black Cat is kind of part of his menagerie. They said, Silver Sable, certain characters like that. So yeah, it's not great because they're doing their own thing. And it worries me that it might muddy the waters. It might turn people off.
Because like at the beginning of, they're like, in cooperation with Marvel, and I feel like
an association with
but they're kind of fucking like I feel like I'm like a Marvel fanboy now, but I'm kind of like in this way where I'm just like, if you're gonna use that name, you should be able to have like some sort of, I don't know, congruity with it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, okay, yeah, we want you, or just have it completely fucking separate, but. Is Marvel trying to get this property, or do you
They've been trying. That's where this partnership came from.
My next question, like, if they are in fact trying to do that, are they just going to let them just kind of fuck this up and be like, whatever, bye, see ya?
Well, that's where this all started. Remember, this all started Captain America: Civil War, where they introduced Spider-Man. It's unparalleled for one studio to allow another studio to play with their toys. That's never been done before. So the fact that Marvel was able to make a Captain America movie and have Spider-Man in it was unheard of. And they had a deal, and then they renegotiated the deal, and then they did another deal, and then it went away, and they weren't even going to do this Spider-Man 3 one for a while. And then Tom Holland himself had to go to Sony and beg, no, we have to do this. We need Marvel involved. He didn't want Sony to take over completely. We need Marvel involved. But then they redid another deal. And so now I know Tom Holland as Spider-Man can be in the Marvel universe for, I think, another solo Spider-Man movie, and then another 2 team-up movies, I think is the most recent deal. So there's a while, but there's gonna come a point. There's gonna come a tipping point, a critical point where Sony goes, you know what? We want to build out our Sony-verse, our Sony universe of Spider-Man stuff, the Spider-Verse, as it were, and they're going to want to cut ties with Marvel. I'm hoping, I don't know. I'm hoping it's, I don't know. I don't know how, they're so kind of interwoven now. I don't know how they're going to separate without it being messy. You know what I mean?
Yes.
There's stitches in place, and then you rip those stitches apart, and it's going to be a mess. It's going to be a mess.
Right.
Santino says it's not that Marvel wants the property, it's Disney. Yeah, I agree with you.
Well,
I
whatever.
Agree with you. I mean,
they're
Disney,
kind of Disney.
That's their
whatever.
thing. Collect all the toys.
Yeah, but I guess when I say Marvel, like Marvel and Disney are fucking.
They're synonymous. They're one and the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's right. It's
sorry
Disney.
for the confusion there. That if you didn't know what the fuck I was talking about when I say one,
he's not. He's not at all. Yes. And Scott says, I don't see why Tom couldn't be in both universes as the same Spider-Man, but never really mention each other except for Spider-Man. Yeah, I mean,
I guess you could do that, but it seems like it really.
We call that, what's that? The multiverse theory, right? Where you're the same person in both universes. It's just they're different. Which is very plausible. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's a whole other side conversation we can go down of how they can make that work. But anyway, switching it up. We got a few minutes here before we go to break. I got a couple more things, and TV news. So we talked about Invincible got a second and third season greenlit. Since you are now a Marvel fanboy, I got something for you. They just had the MTV TV and Movie Awards show. I think that's what it's called.
Sounds like a lot of words.
It's a lot of words. But as you can see by this fine, lovely picture that I'm bringing up on the screen, Marvel was in the house representing the MTV Movie and TV Awards, is what it's called. Marvel won 6 awards at this year's MTV Movie and TV Awards, including Best Show, WandaVision, Best Performance, Elizabeth Olsen, Best Hero, Anthony Mackie, Best Villain, Catherine Hahn, Best Fight, Wanda versus Agatha, of all things, and Best Duo, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So that's
Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
I mean, true. The name of the show was Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Then they changed it.
They changed it. So Captain America and the Winter Soldier, correct. And really, there's a big petition for people to say it's Captain America and the White Wolf is the big petition, since he's not really the Winter Soldier anymore.
Maybe that'll be what they do the next one.
I agree with all of that, minus Best Fight. Because while the Wanda versus Agatha fight was good, it was great. There was very classic, tropes involved. I would have liked to have seen. I thought there was some really good fight choreography going on in Captain America and the Winter Soldier. See, I did it. That's Captain America. I thought there was some great fight choreography, so I would have liked to have seen maybe a little bit more, a better push towards that. But all things considered, to see Marvel walk away, Mike Larson says Vision versus Vision was better. Yeah, the Vision versus Vision.
Yeah, I think so. Of the fights that they
give Paul Bettany 2 awards for the Vision versus Vision fight. And yeah, Winter Soldier. Yeah, Winter Soldier was kick ass. That dude, the scene with like the Dora Milaje and Winter Soldier getting in there, and then the fake Cap getting in there, and like that was a cool scene, man. That was a really cool scene, and done, shot, and choreographed really well. And just we forget you had the choreography of the Falcon when he was Falcon. When he was chasing the helicopters and doing all the stun, the flipping and the shooting the rockets, and like there's a lot of good stuff in that show, man. It was
really good.
Very good, very good. So kudos to the Marvel team.
I was happy at that. That whole show, actually.
Yeah.
But the more I think about that one fight, was really neat. And I don't know, it was kind of cool when they took Bucky's arm clean off. That was fucking tight.
You mean they disarmed him?
Yes.
Yes. And one last thing for you guys before we jump to break. And please stay tuned because we got some really cool stuff coming up after break. Let's see, MTV Movie Awards we did. This is our first look at the costume of Ms. Marvel. This is the young superhero that's new to the MCU. Gonna be star of the Ms. Marvel Disney Plus TV show, and then be joining the ranks of Captain Marvel 2, which they're calling The Marvels, which I like, right? Because you're gonna have Captain Marvel, and you're gonna have Miss Marvel, and Photon, and Broton, and all the other ones that will be there too. But I love the outfit. I really love the outfit. I think it so captures what the comic book brought while still feeling very MCU. You know what I mean? Because it really is. I wish I should have put a side by side with how the character looks in the books. It's spot on, but that kind of metallic shimmer is very classic MCU. It's very much in that Iron Spider suit, that Iron Man suit, that Captain America suit. It looks. They did a great job. But all the shows, we've seen pictures from the Hawkeye series coming out. They're just started filming the Moon Knight series, so I know those pictures are coming soon, and I can't wait to see them. But yeah, I'm very excited to see these shows come to fruition. So,
well, I like how they're kind of building up to the Young Avengers as well.
Yes.
I mean, they just kind of keep adding one more and one more and one more, and they're really. This is more than they did in White Wolf and Captain America, where the fuck you were calling it now, or whatever. But I mean, you know, you had the boys from WandaVision. You know, now Ms. Is it Ms.
Ms. Marvel. MS. Marvel. Ms. Marvel.
Marvel. With a V.
Yes.
God, I need more beers. But anyway,
or less beers.
But it's like I'm like halfway through my first beer.
It's been a long day, but all right, guys, we are gonna toss it to break. When I come back, 9 o'clock sharp, we are gonna have the co-creator of How I Met Your Mother. He was the co-creator. He's the executive producer. He's the writer. Carter Bays is gonna be joining us. I'm super excited. I'm a big fan of the show. I know my family's a big fan. I know a lot of people are big fans of the show. So we're going to have him on the show. We're going to ask him all the questions in the world, talk all about TV and film, and some other surprises. And they were gracious enough. He's, for those that don't know, the theme song for How I Met Your Mother, that ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba, that's a small piece of a larger song called Hey Beautiful, performed by The Solids. That's his band. He co-founded the band as well. So we're going to play that song for you during the break while we get Mr. Bays set up and ready to go. And yeah, we're gonna be back with so much more. So guys, don't go anywhere. Enjoy the music, and we'll be back in a few minutes with Carter Bays. See you soon. Shots.
You're listening to the sounds of WTF Nation Radio.
Or I pass out on the floor. You got me staring out the window. 8 hours
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture Warrior. It is hour 2, and we are just getting into the nitty-gritty of it. I'm super excited. You have no idea, guys. My guest tonight is a television showrunner, writer, and producer. He's best known as co-creator, writer, and executive producer of the mega hit CBS sitcom How I Met Your Mother, a show which has been, it's received 10 Emmy wins, a whopping 62 award nominations, including Best Original Song for Nothing Suits Me Like a Suit. And I mentioned that because he's also co-founded the band The Solids, who you just heard perform the theme song to How I Met Your Mother called Hey Beautiful. In the summer of 1996, he was an intern in the development department of MTV. He graduated from Wesleyan in 97. He and his writing partner, Craig Thomas, began writing for The Late Show with Dave Letterman. He later went on to write for American Dad, Quintuplets, Oliver Bean. It was in 2005 that he got the big break when he filmed and aired the pilot episode for How I Met Your Mother, and the rest, as they say, is history. Please, everyone, give a big warm welcome to writer-producer Carter Bays. Hi.
Hi, CQ. How are you?
How you doing, man? Thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Oh my God. It's a pleasure. It's such a pleasure. I love the room. I love the shield. I love the gauntlet. I love the hammer. The whole thing.
Yeah. You know, it's all right. It's all right. I'm sure you got a lovely collection too.
It's just out of frame.
Man, there's so much to cover. I don't want to do you an injustice by not, touching on everything, but we're going to do our best. Obviously, we were just chatting. The first question I always like to ask, because this is primarily, a veteran-themed show, and there's a lot of military and veterans watching, I always like to ask, what is a guest's military connection? Did they serve themselves? Did they have family, friends, siblings, or just big supporter? Love to hear.
Sure. I grew up. There's a lot of members of my family that were in the service. I wouldn't call us a military family, so to speak. But my grandfather was on a destroyer in the Pacific in World War II. I have some uncles who were in the Air Force and the Navy, and my wife's father was my father-in-law was in the Army for many years. Had a long career. So it really I actually trace it back to my first job in TV writing for David Letterman, because David Letterman, something that I really appreciated and learned in that job was his appreciation for people in military service. Like we did a series of shows from Bosnia, from a base in Bosnia. We would have like every year when for Fleet Week we would have like an audience full of sailors and I just really, that was kind of like my indoctrination into this idea that like part of your responsibility as a member of the comedy community is to reach out. It's sort of this legacy that goes back to Bob Hope.
Right.
And so I was always impressed by that, with as far as like the way Letterman made a priority out of that. And then, then we actually went to war, and that I think especially, I as a civilian, like you look for ways that you can thank the people that have the courage to do the thing that you don't do, that have the courage to put on a uniform and defend this country. And I looked at my my meager set of skills I just it's just something I really appreciate. And I wouldn't say I have a specific person or like a specific connection to the military, but it's something that's important to me.
Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, you mentioned quite a bit of a connection, and I'm curious too, being a guy who obviously loves New York City, right? Because you've written about it, you made a show about it. I mean, that there is that connection too, right? That, I mean, I know I was born and raised in New York, and so I know when 9/11 happened, it felt personal. It was a personal attack. So
absolutely, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I was there, and I was working at Letterman, and there was sort of, everybody in that on that day kind of internalized it and looked at their own life, and even just setting aside like the bigger meanings of it, just like the fear of that day, like working at the Ed Sullivan Theater, it was kind of like, it felt like it was a potential target. It was and then 30 Rock got targeted, but there was all that stuff with like the anthrax scare and stuff. It was it hit home. I mean, that day, I mean, I still, you don't forget a day like that. And you don't, it's I feel like I don't even want to go into it too deeply, but like that changed it for everybody.
Absolutely. Absolutely, couldn't agree more. So that's actually a perfect segue, because before we dive into the How I Met Your Mother, because that's as everybody wants to talk about, I'm sure, but there's more to you than that. And so I was curious, what was it like, coming out of Wesleyan, getting that opportunity to write for Letterman, to write on American Dad, to do that? What did that mean to you as far as you getting into the business?
I mean, it was a tremendous opportunity, and I there's no question that I'm just a really, really lucky guy to have had that opportunity. Like I mean, Craig and I were, I think we like a week earlier or a week later, it wouldn't have worked. Like I think we arrived at a time when two writers had left Letterman and and I think there was a feeling of like maybe the ratings were starting to slip among like 18 to 35-year-olds. I mean, they think that way, and they think like, okay, well, we need two young writers to come in, and like there was me and Craig. We just happened to be right place, right time, and it was amazing. It was an amazing 4.5 years that we spent there. I call it my comedy grad school, because I was going to Wesleyan, and I was an English major, and so writing was something really important to me, and I had learned how to like write short stories and things like that, but comedy was something that I didn't. I think everyone who writes comedy, and this could segue to my work with ASAP, because I think it's really important. Like the number one thing for anyone writing comedy, anyone who wants to get into that, is to feel what it feels like for one of your jokes to bomb, and internalize that feeling, and hate that feeling so much that you never want to feel it again. And that you just need to do that over and over again. And Letterman gave me a chance to, gave me this stage. I'm not a performer, I'm not a stand-up, and I'm not like, I don't think I'm naturally funny as a guy, but like I think I'm a pretty good writer. And so it gave me an opportunity to like 5 shows a week. And no matter how hard you bomb or how great you do, you have to show up the next day with all new material. And you can't, I remember when we were first applying for the job, we worked so hard writing, you have to write these, no, I'm sorry. When we first applied for, the first job we applied for was Conan O'Brien. We loved Conan O'Brien, and Craig and I spent like a whole summer just getting together material and like gathering, like honing our stuff, and like fiddling with every every wording of every joke, and just polishing it like this little gem. And we were lucky enough to get an agent at this time, and then we sent it to our agent, and he was like, "This is great, Conan O'Brien. Everyone loves that job. No one's gonna quit. There's never going to be a job available at Conan O'Brien, but 2 guys just left Letterman. You have 48 hours to write a whole new packet of material for Letterman, which means write 3 top 10 lists, write like some sketch ideas, write some monologue jokes, I think maybe we had to do also. But I remember at the time this feeling of like 48 hours. No, we can't. That's
right.
We can't, we spent all summer on this other thing. We can't do this in 48 hours. Not realizing like when you get the job, you get 4 hours to do that. Like it's a fast-paced job, and you show up, at 10 a.m. and you open the newspaper, because this is before anyone had the internet on their computers. That's how old I am. And we you'd open up the Post. The Post was always the best, because the Post was like it's the news stories that you're going to make jokes about are in the post. Like the New York Times has like, oh, the Dow dipped a little bit and da-da-da, you know, and all that stuff is boring. But the Post is always like, you know, a kid gets stuck in a crane machine, and you know, like there's always like funny stories like that. And so like we would use that as sort of like the that was always kind of our like sort of the comedy, the grist for the mill. And we would just, you know, you'd look at the stories that day, and you had to like come up with jokes about the news like every day, and I did that for 4.5 years, and it really was. It taught me a lot about just how to structure jokes and how to what things get laughs and what things don't. Like it's so like it's such an ineffable thing, and it remains a mystery to anyone who does comedy. Even, you know, you could be 30 years into your career and it's still a mystery what's going to get a laugh and what isn't. But Letterman was an amazing teacher for that. Like he was a guy who like didn't he I think we arrived at a time when it was like later in his career, and he had sort of, I think, spent many years, you know, being the guy in the room with the writers, and I think he was just in managing himself for the pace of doing 5 shows a week. You know, he was not as accessible to the writers. He wasn't around, so a lot of it was you'd get your chance to pitch to him, and you'd have like 2 minutes to pitch the stuff you've been working on for all day long. And he just had a great, a very like just no nonsense way of in a really pithy way shooting down the ideas that weren't going to work. And like he was just famous for just saying no. Like you'd pitch something and he would say no. He would say like, you know, and you'd be so excited, you'd be trying to sell it, he'd just go no. And then you're on to the next thing. And it taught me a lot about being discriminating about like what stuff you do, and how like, you know, at that point especially, he had spent 30 years developing this voice as a comedian, and he really knew what that voice was, and he just, you know, really had it on lock, like what worked on his show and what didn't. And he also like he also would often rewrite things that we would Craig and I for the last 4 years of the show, we were on the mailbag. So we did like the you know, people would write in letters to Dave, say, hey Dave, you know, how do you fix a washer dryer? And he would do some funny answer showing the answer to that. Right. And Craig and I would write those skits and or sketches, I guess you're not supposed to call them skits, but in hindsight they were skits. He would, you know, we would write these scripts and leave them for him, because he came in earlier than everyone else. He came in at like 4 a.m. to like skip traffic, and so we would stay up all night Wednesday night, the night before we would shoot the mailbag, and we'd, you know, hand off the scripts at like 2 a.m. to the production, the producer, and we'd come in the next morning having gotten no sleep and find our scripts, and sometimes, you know, if he didn't like something, he would just cross it off, and that was like his way of saying no to a script. But sometimes he would reword things and he would rewrite things, and just like it was like, I mean, it's amazing. It would be like, you know, like, I don't know, like how it must feel like passing to LeBron and then he takes it, you know, like that's how it felt. And it was like, oh, I just set you up to do something superhuman and create something with no, like, you know, to like write the setup for, you know, the best comedian of his generation. Like that was a really cool thing, and I learned a lot. So I'm rambling about Letterman. I hope
no, not at all. I find it fascinating. I'm curious. Is there any particular like one bit, one line, one joke that you fondly remember? Like, oh, that was me. That was all me. That's mine.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. There's oh man, now I'm like, I mean, it's funny because I the ones that I loved actually, and this I feel like there's something to this, that like the ones that I really love and remember are the ones that we worked on as a group. Like there's like a few, like Craig and I and these two other guys, Rodney Rothman and David Jaberbaum, who have both gone on to have incredible careers. Rodney just won an Oscar a couple years ago, and like the four of us, we had it was around the time of the Backstreet Boys had just gotten big, and NSYNC, and like all the boy bands were like a big thing. And I don't remember whose idea it was, but like we just had this idea that what if we do, because and every now and then, like on Letterman, like we would have to, like the music people would book someone like that, and it'd be someone that like the kids go crazy for, and like Dave's like, oh, and like Boys Forever is here also, and like there'd be screams in the crowd, and everyone's like, who are these people? But like the kids love them, and so like Dave had to do it. And like it was just always funny because Dave obviously didn't know who they were and didn't really care.
Right.
But so we thought it would be funny if like, what if we did a something that sort of like makes fun of the fact that like there's these bands that everyone that are very popular and people love, but you couldn't pick them out of a lineup. You'd be like, who is this? Like, okay, I guess they're famous. So we created a boy band, like whole cloth. We like got like, and this was like a month-long project. We put a lot of work into this. We called them Fresh Step, which was the name of cat litter.
Yeah, kitty litter. Yeah.
Kitty litter. So that was kind of our way of like signaling that it's a joke without actually saying it. But they were like, but for them, like they were fresh, and they and they were like really good dancers. So that was the step part of it. And we cast 5 guys. We got these incredible, each one of them, like I think most of them were Broadway guys who just incredible singers and dancers. And one of them was Matthew Morrison, who was on Glee, who was the main guy on Glee, and he was kind of the lead singer of the group, and he was fantastic. And so we cast them, and we hired. I think it was like Britney Spears' choreographer or something like that. Like, and we like got these like crazy costumes for them. And at a certain point, it stopped being a skit about a boy band, and it was actually like, oh, we're creating a boy band. Like there was like at a certain point, there was no like daylight between what we were doing and what Lou Pearlman was doing at the time. And so like, and we wrote this song, like Craig and I. And Rodney and DJ David Javerbaum, and DJ is like a Broadway lyricist who's like he's had shows on Broadway, and he's so we just got together and like came up with this song, and Paul Schaefer wrote the music for it, and it was You Gotta Be Fresh to Fresh with the Fresh Step was the I can't remember if that was the name of the song, or I think it was like Gotta Be Fresh was the name of it. And Paul Schaefer wrote this total like Backstreet Boys sound-alike song to go with it. And then so finally the night came, and we never let on that it was a joke. We never said like, oh, what you're seeing isn't real. We just did a thing. We just like at the top of the show, it was like, on tonight's show, Alan Coulter was like, Sylvester Stallone, Tom Cruise, and Fresh Step, musical guest, Fresh Step. And then, and every time Dave mentioned Fresh Step, we had the sound effects people just play sound effects of girls screaming. So Dave would be like, so we got a great show coming up. Fresh Step is here. And like people in the audience were like looking at each other like I think all the people in the balcony were like, oh, that must be the people down below. And the people down below were like, that must be the people in the balcony. But the audience was really confused. But like there just kept being these huge cheers, and then they came out and they did this show, and people bought it. We never let on that it was and then we just went into this whole we like really went down the rabbit hole where we like did another performance. They did like their Tender Ballad, and we said that it was from a song from the soundtrack of some movie, and we made up the movie, and we ultimately we got them booked on TRL with Carson Daly, and they actually went on TRL, and Carson Daly, God bless him, was like played along like beautifully, and like just like acted as though these guys were like, yeah, these guys are great. And we like made a website for them, and the at one point in the show, like, and this is like the beginning of websites. This is when like nobody had like websites were just like starting to become a thing, and we had them hold up a sign that said www.freshstep.com. and we had like on the website, we had their pictures and we had like an email address, and we got all these emails from people, like girls who were like, oh my God, you're so cute. I love it. When do I get your album? And da-da-da. And like, there was a moment where it was like, it's past parody. And now it's like, we've just created this thing. And like, yeah, I'm sure there was a moment there where we kind of hit this, like this Rubicon where it was like, we could just keep doing this and maybe make millions of dollars. I don't know.
You've crossed over. You've gone out of comedy into like the world of music producing.
Yeah. Oh God, it was amazing. But anyway, so that was the one that the probably the most memorable thing that like has always stuck with me.
To me, that's punked before punked was a thing. That you joked everyone into believing this.
It was really cool. It was very it was a fun thing to be a part of, and like this is why Dave, I think, stayed so good as long as he did, because he, like, I think it was like on one hand it was sort of like a continuation of like the kind of comedy like Andy Kaufman would do, and like Dave was certainly a big part of Andy Kaufman, and his whole mystique. But also I think Dave, like, I think he like didn't fully get it, but like gave us on that one he like gave us the free reign to like just try something just really insane, and it was really fun.
Yeah, and I feel like the idea, as you're talking about it, I can almost see an episode of How I Met Your Mother forming, like, because it's this long running gag, right? It's musical in nature. There's definitely some humor to it. So I'm like starting to see the building blocks of what eventually led.
Yeah, we like, and like, I think it was certainly a forerunner to Robin Sparkles when we ended up doing that. It was definitely like we were old hats at writing cheesy pop songs. So.
Yeah, perfect. Yes, and guys, if you have questions for Carter, please put them in the chats. I see them. I will get to them. But I'm being selfish and asking my questions first. So it's great that you're segueing off my notes perfectly, because you mentioned the musical stuff. You co-founded the Solids with Craig and the rest of the band. It's so, I don't want to say it's strange to me, but it's rare that you see someone who's, maybe passionate about writing, who then also wants to get on stage and perform as part of a rock band. What drew you to the music?
Yeah, that's something that always, actually, music was how Craig and I began as creative partners. We were in a band in college before the Solids. We started our junior year. And it's not like Craig and I kind of knew each other. We had taken like English, like creative writing classes together. We were both like really into that stuff, but we were only sort of like tangentially friends. And then Craig was like the most amazing drummer on campus. He was like, he was like, man, when you're a drummer at like a hippie school like Wesleyan, like you just like, you are intimate, like every like wanky band like of like 6 guys with guitars who want to like play like, do like Fish covers, like you're just sought out by everybody. But we got him, and we like Craig and I together started this band called the Testostertones, which is I'm like, oh man, kids out there listening, if you're starting a college band, make sure it's a name that you are going to be comfortable saying 30 years later, because like I wish it was a different name, but that's what it was called, the Testostertones. And we were a 9-piece rhythm and blues band, and we only played like classic soul music from like Stax Records, like Wilson Pickett. We did some James Brown. We did some Otis Redding. We all wore suits, and it was and that was sort of where our partnership began. And I was the singer and Craig was the drummer, and then we started. We became friends through the band, and then that following summer was when we did the internship at MTV, which we both applied for separately and didn't know. Neither of us knew the other was applying until like we both went down the same day to interview for it, and luckily we both got it. And that summer we spent most of the summer like hanging out at Craig's mom's house in Long Island in her basement, just messing around with his drum set and my guitar and like recording stuff. And like I had like a really crappy bass guitar, and like we had a little Tascam 4-track, and we would just make all these songs and like record stuff, and just it was just this very fertile moment, and we just loved making music. And because of that, making music, then we sort of discovered like, okay, we need a job, and like writing felt like the most fun career you could have. And so writing has always been the thing we've done together, but music has always been a part of everything we've done, and we've always like, it's just the thing we love to do. And we did it on Letterman, obviously, and we did it on How I Met Your Mother a bunch of times. We did the theme song for How I Met Your Mother. Yep. And got nominated for an Emmy for Nothing Suits Me Like a Suit. And sort of the culmination of that is what we're working on right now, which is we have developed a movie musical that we're I think I can't tell if I can say hoping or we're going to. We're very close to being able to say we're going to shoot it this fall. And it's got 12 original songs that we wrote, and we're very excited about it.
Do we have a name for it yet?
Yeah, the movie's called Molly and the Moon. I can tell you all about it. I don't know if I'm in the right spot. Or can we segue to Molly and the Moon, or do we?
I mean, absolutely. You brought it up. I'm curious.
It's something we're tremendously excited about because we've been working on it for a long time, and it's inspired by Craig's the true story of when Craig's son was born, because Craig's son has a genetic condition called Jacobson syndrome, which is very rare, and it presents itself in a lot of different ways. And but when Craig and his wife went to the hospital to have the baby, they didn't know this. They hadn't gotten they were young enough that they didn't do any DNA testing, so it was a surprise to them. They went expecting to have the simple version of having a baby, and it turned into a 5-week ordeal. Their son immediately went into the NICU. He had severe heart problems and ended up needing open heart surgery as a little baby. And they had to fly in like the best surgeon in the world to do it, and it was really it was just about as harrowing as you could expect. It was really, really difficult, and in the course of that, they found out that their son had this thing, Jacobson syndrome, and just to right away say the happy ending, which is that his son just turned 14. He's doing great, and he's a wonderful kid, and he's like a big musician. I keep hearing about Craig, and he and Craig like jam together, which sounds really cool. Yeah, it was 5 weeks for them, and they, when you're a writer, you sort of when you look at your own life and like look at the things that you want to write about, you kind of look for happy endings, and like what are the great happy endings of your life, and like that was like the day that Craig and Rebecca went home from the hospital was like the happiest ending any of us had ever known, and it was the kind of thing where it was so harrowing for them and so difficult and so challenging, and I think they'd be fine with me saying that like they gained a wisdom from that experience that I admire to this day, and like they and I think it took a long time for Craig to even, this was happening, by the way, season 3 of How I Met Your Mother. So we're trying to write a comedy show, and like, for the most part, Craig was, on leave and just focusing on his new family. But it was eventually he had to come back to work, and it's like, okay, be funny. Yeah. Like, you just went through this like the worst experience of your life. Now be funny. So it took us having to finish How I Met Your Mother and sort of put down the pen in that world to be able to even start thinking about writing this as a story. And I'm so impressed with Craig that he like had the courage to like actually want to start writing about it, and just to I mean, I'm so excited about this we worked on the song and the screenplay together. We were gonna direct it together, but Craig is gonna Craig's gonna be the sole director on it, and I'm really excited about it. It's like I think it's a thing that he and I are both one of the things we're most proud of in our career, and I think it's I can't wait for people to see it.
No, that's incredible, and I did my due diligence. I did see that you were working on this, and is it true that Kristen Bell is attached to be part of it?
We tentatively, yes. I'm going to say yes. I mean, everything's tentative. This is the thing. Like, it's my first movie, so like, it's you find out like it's until the cameras are rolling.
Right.
You don't really know, and like even sometimes after the cameras are rolling, you don't really know. But like, but yes, Kristen Bell and Jonathan Groff, Christoph and Anna. Is that right? It's Chris, right? Yeah. Anna. Who like. But also Kristen Bell from Veronica Mars and The Good Place, who like we've huge fans of forever, and Jonathan Groff from Mindhunter, which like God, that show just knocked me on my ass basically. Like that was like he's terrific. They're both tremendous talents, and we're excited. I'm excited for we shoot it in the fall, but we're gonna start recording the music over the summer, I think, and I'm excited to, Craig and I made these demos of these songs where it's us singing and like me doing my best like girl voice and stuff. But like I'm really excited to hear them actually sing it because they're incredible singers.
Absolutely, yeah. Kristen, a lot of people don't realize that she's such an incredible singer, so that's awesome. And then obviously another. I swear, guys, we're gonna get to How I Met Your Mother. That's the next thing we're gonna talk about. But
we get an hour at least.
We got.
Give my kids a bath. Come
on. No, but obviously the big breaking news and something that a lot of How I Met Your Mother fans have been clamoring for, holding out hope for. We just got word that How I Met Your Father has been picked up a straight to series order with Hulu. Yes. 10 episodes starring Hilary Duff. I mean,
that was that fell out of the sky. Like we had closed the book on that, and we're not even thinking about it. Like the backstory here is that Isaac and Elizabeth, who are incredible writers, they a few years ago we somehow, I can't even remember how we got connected with them, but they were two writers they'd written on a few sitcoms, and they had just done season 1 of This Is Us, and they were writers on This Is Us. Right. And they wrote this. They came and pitched this idea for How I Met Your Father. And Craig and I, like, our sort of guideline for like letting someone take a swing at this. Like, we always wanted someone to take a swing at this, and we specifically wanted it to be like, it just felt like we like just wrung every bit of juice out of ourselves from our own single lives, and we're both married now, and our lives are over basically, or that part of our lives are over. Right. It's funny. Like, it's like I remember like spending some time at talking to someone from the Explorers Club in New York, and they had a whole thing about how, like, you think that like the guys at the Explorers Club, they sit around, they swap stories, and how they're excited to have stories like, oh, there was this time, that time. And the truth is, like, real explorers, they go on these things, and the thing that you don't want is a story. If you have a story, it means something went wrong, there was a terrible moment, and you don't. And I'm sure our military listeners can relate to that too. You don't want a story. You just want it to be a normal day. And like that's and I say this all in like that's the nice thing about being married, I think. like being married, but like for me, being married to my wife, I just love her, and we're just like, there's no stories anymore. So in a good way, there's no stories anymore. So we really wanted two young people to pick up the reins and come in and do someone else's version of this. Like take these ingredients, which is really the only ingredients are, we wanted it to be How I Met Your Father, so it's different. So right. So it's a woman down the road at some point telling her child the story of how she met that child's father. And that's like that. It's like an improv game. It's like that's what you have to work with and go.
Yeah.
And they took that and pitched something so fun and fresh and with surprises, but also with like really likable, exciting characters, and they reminded us of us. They reminded, like, they're I don't know how old these guys are, but they're younger than me and Craig, and they had such like an enthusiasm for this kind of story, and we just kind of fell in love with them and fell in love with their story, with their pitch, and they wrote it up as a script, and we thought the script was great. It was full of great jokes, and then the worst thing that could have happened, which was This Is Us became a big hit, and their careers went crazy and bonanza, and they became the showrunners of This Is Us, and like then for the last few years for me, it's just been like, as a fan of This Is Us, I've been like every week I watch it and I'm like, that was great. Brad, Isaac, and Elizabeth, they're great. They're so this is terrific, and we had just given up on it, and then like earlier this spring, out of the blue, we get a phone call from Isaac Apteker, and he tells us this crazy story that he was that This Is Us is, this was just announced that they're going into their last season, and Isaac and Elizabeth were being asked like what they're going to work on next, and they've been taking some general meetings and stuff, and they talked to Hilary Duff. Hilary Duff was like looking for her next thing, and apparently, I'm telling this whole story. I don't know if this is all like this is all for public consumption, but I'll just. I mean, this is how the sausage is made, guys. Yeah. It happens quickly, but they mentioned to Hillary that like, something that we worked on a while ago that never went anywhere was this How I Met Your Father script, and she asked to see it, and they sent it to her, and she said, "I love it," and now we're making a show, and like that was it, and it was like 1 week, it's a Thursday, and How I Met Your Father is just a pipe dream and a distant memory. And then by the next Thursday, it's like, it's happening. It's going to be on Hulu. It's, you're making this show. And we're so excited for them. And I'm excited the thing that excites me the most is, I don't know if I'm allowed to share, but like we're bringing back some people that from behind the scenes that we're excited to have be a part of this new version of it, and so we know they'll be in good hands. And Craig and I are we get to like be the Obi-Wan Kenobis to their Luke Skywalkers.
You get to dip your toe in just enough, relive the glory days.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's I'm just excited. I'm excited to get back in a writer's room. I mean, I really I've been this after How I Met Your Mother ended, I moved to New York with my wife because we wanted to be on the East Coast. We love New York, and we lived there for 6 years and had a great time, made some good friends, and did all the fun New York stuff. Like my son and I did a road trip to Cooperstown and all this stuff, and it was really it's wonderful memories, but for a number of reasons, Denise's family is here on the West Coast, and but also just I missed making TV. Like I the thing that I loved the most. I spent like I think 17 years in comedy rooms and in writers' rooms, and then stopped cold turkey for 6 years, and I really miss it. I'm excited to like get back into it and just be the old guy in the room instead of the young guy in the room. I'm very grateful to have this opportunity.
Yeah, because and I think with this new show, it's like you said, young, hip, fresh, whatever you want to call it. But also, since How I Met Your Mother first aired, I mean, technology has changed. Things are so different, and how we interact with each other is so different. Yeah. So,
well, that's the thing. Like that right there is why we definitely felt like someone else. Like it's not going to be Craig and Carter present How I Met Your Father. Like, it has to be someone who, like, I got married in 2010, 2009. I should know that. I should know that number. It was between 2010 and 2011. It was New Year's Eve. But it was before the apps came along. Before, like, people were like, Tinder and like whatever the new ones. I don't even know what the new ones are. But like, I missed that whole genre of dating, like,
sure, completely.
And so, like, I know enough about the world that, like, anyone who does this show is gonna have to address that, because that's like the way we date has changed, and now that there's a pandemic, I don't even know how people do it, like with a national quarantine going on.
Yeah, and I think you touched on it on the one episode too, where it was like the old, what was it? You could Google everything now, and like, the bar arguments.
Mystery versus history, or is that what it's called? Mystery versus history.
So
like you could find out someone's history is
exactly.
So that was starting. It was beginning.
Yeah.
That whole thing. And there's the thing with, like, I was just remembering this scene of, like, where Ted, like, sends a text message and he says, like, I thought I'd send you a little texty text, and then, like, the word texty text floats up and he tries to catch it. Like, yeah, that was like it's fun. The fun thing about it is, like, because I'm going back and watching it now, and it really was, like, I think we knew at the time, like, as much as this show is like a dad 20 years from now telling his kids what it was like at that particular time to be that age and to be single, or to be, in a relationship in New York, like all of those things. I think we knew even at the time that we were making something that would be a document, and that we would go back to and look and say, like, wow, that's what it was like. And like, now we're far enough away from it that there are things that, like, and for better or for, I mean, there's some things that, like, I wish weren't in there, but for the most part, like, it's a document of that particular time, and yeah, it's just funny, like, I've been watching like the first season, and it's just like, oh man, Ted is so thirsty in that first season. He's so, oh my god, I'm like embarrassed for him, and then I'm kind of embarrassed for myself, because, like, a lot of the stories were my stories, like, he's kind of based on me a little bit, and, like, it was like, it's just fun to watch. It's fun, like, like seeing things now that I didn't see 15 years ago.
Sure, it's a fresh set of eyes. You literally have a different set of eyes than you did back then.
I'm closer to Bob Saget now than...
You get to narrate this time. No, okay, so I have a ton of questions for How I Met Your Mother. Obviously, I'm going to ask mine first. Sure. I have to know this. Did Marshall get mugged by a monkey? We never got a definitive.
Man, I you know what? Ask me again in like 10 years, and I'll I gotta hang on. There's some mysteries we can't solve.
Gotcha.
We did. We gotta, like, that was a fun one. That was.
All right.
It's one of those, like when we were coming to the end of the show, it did kind of feel like, God, are we really resolving all the mystery? Like, we, like, ultimately didn't reveal the pineapple, like where the pineapple came from, for that reason. Kind of like, we gotta leave some things, like, just unknown.
Let me ask you, whether or not you revealed it, did you have, like, as you're writing the episode, in your mind, you're like, okay, this is the answer. We're not gonna show it. We're not gonna say it. But did you have a definitive answer in your mind?
For the monkey one, you know what? I was, I'm trying to remember where the mugged by a monkey. I think it came from one of the writers. Like, there was some news story about it, because there were monkeys that, like, pickpocket monkeys, like, in Asia, I believe.
Yeah.
But I think it was, that one was kind of playing with the idea of and it was sort of one of our, like, more, like, sort of, I think, like, cerebral episodes, because it was kind of like, it was playing with the idea of, like, is this a reliable narrator or not?
Right.
And does it matter? Like, is it, if I remember correctly, that story ends with, like, someone making the case that, like, you just have to, like, say it how it happened. You have to tell the truth. You can't embellish these for a good story. And then something crazy happens that, like, probably didn't happen in real life, but the narrator just willed it to happen, and it
Yeah,
so
the monkey climbed the doll. It took the doll. He climbed the tower, the architecture tower. And...
yeah, like all the elements of King Kong were there, and they just came together in this beautiful, like a prayer for Owen Meany kind of way. And which and we like the idea of like, who knows if that really happened or not, or is this dad just telling this to these kids because why would you tell a story where nothing cool happens? You know, like
right.
tell a good story. You know.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And so you've mentioned, in plenty of interviews as well as just now, that this is kind of loosely based on you and Craig's life, and Craig and his wife are the Marshall and Lily kind of similar, and you and Ted, and I'm just curious, for you, what is the one that like strikes the nerve? What's the truest where you're like, oh my God, I can't, that's me, you know what I mean, like that part of that character.
I mean, I feel like I can't even say it because I'll be like I don't. There's a few moments. I mean, well, okay, like I'll say it. Like the pilot episode, and I've struggled with this because like you have to. When we were first conceiving the show, Ted was me. Ted was he might as well have been called Carter, and like first conceiving it was Carter and Craig, and it was like our lives and Rebecca, and at a certain point you have to. Like a couple of things. You have to let the other writers in and let them help create the characters. And so it can't just be your life. It can't be, obviously. And you have to let the actors bring stuff to it. Like and that was the greatest joy that we had on the show, was seeing the things that the actors brought and the things we could use in the writing that we drew from the actors. I mean, like, Robin being Canadian was Kobe Smulders being Canadian, and Barney doing magic was Neil Patrick Harris doing magic,
right? And
Jason Segel would like sit and sing songs in between takes on the piano, and like that became like, oh, Marshall's the guy who sings everything, so it was eventually you have to like leave the runway and let the character become the character and not have it just be completely based on you, but. In the pilot episode, in that first episode, I mean, the thing that like, I was at a time in my life when I had been dating for a while, and I had kind of rolled snake eyes a few times in a row with girls, and really like, my parents had me when they got married right out of college, and they had me when they were 26, I think, and I started having these feelings that. There's no better way to describe it than like a biological clock. Like I kind of felt like I want to be a dad. I want to settle down. I don't want to just be like some single guy. Like this is around the time that like there was like the whole like pickup artist thing was going on, like especially in LA, and you'd go out to bars and there'd be like the guy with the big giant velvet hat and like the eyeliner.
The peacock. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just like, oh God, and it was part of it was being in LA and missing New York, and a lot, and which is why I think we wrote a show about New York, because we had moved to LA from New York and just like wanted to be back. So we were like, let's just make a show where there's a New York bar as a set, so we can pretend we're in New York for a few hours every day. And but yeah, I was like at a point where I just really wanted to I wanted to get married. I wanted to meet someone and settle down and get married. Someone that liked me as much as I liked them, and vice versa, and I was really starting to examine why it hadn't happened for me, and why a lot of it was my own fault, and a lot of it was my own like immaturity and wisdom I hadn't yet gained, and mistakes I had made, and that like the pilot, there's that moment where Ted has told Robin that he loves her on the first date, which I never did. I don't think. I might have. I don't know. It's those files. No, I never did that. But then he leaves, and then he has this speech, and that speech was, I mean, it was the thing that got Josh Radnor the job, because he came and delivered that speech in the audition, and it was like, well, there's our Ted, we've got him, because he just like hit it out of the park. But it's the speech about where he says, like, I wish I could skip the part where I have to go out and be cool and be a guy that and seduce people. I wish I could just be a happy, contented guy and already in a relationship and already with the person, because I think I'd be good at that. I think I'd be good at like just being a boyfriend and being a husband. I hate that you have to like go out and be cool in order to get to the end zone, which is not being cool, which is sitting on the couch on a Saturday night.
Being your true self.
Yeah. And that was like, and I think, I think especially, I think that's, especially at that time, I think maybe people changed a little bit, but at the time it was the kind of thing that like guys didn't say to other guys,
Sure.
But it was true. It was something I really felt. So yeah, having Ted say those words out loud, felt like that was like the most vulnerable I've been in my writing, or I had been up until then. And I'm glad that we did it.
Yeah, I'll have you know that I remember seeing the scene. That was me. I was the kind of guy that could say, this is years ago, long time ago, I could say I love you the night I met someone, because I was, we call it hopeless romantic. Really, I like you. I wanted to be a part of that. I didn't come from a good family, but I envied, the Cosby family. I envied the Seegers and all those TV families, and I wanted that. So when I saw Ted, I was just like, oh man, someone said it. Someone finally said it. So
and that's why I'm like, and that's why I'm enjoying watching it now, because it was also like that. Ted had to learn some stuff from that, because that is like, it's such a real vulnerable thing to feel, and yet there's so many flaws in it that you don't see in the moment. But over time, you realize like, oh, I'm like, I'm making this all about this, like, I part of it is like, I'm setting these standards for myself, and part of it is this feeling of like, I love the. What was the line from Mad Men where someone says about like he loves the beginnings of things, and like that, I think that's a real thing that like, I love falling in love. I love that feeling of like things being and yet like I look back and it's like I broke up with some people, and like like it is like you have to like have the maturity to realize like I have to like, I don't know, you have to like work on yourself, and you have to get to a place where you're, I don't know, kinder, more compassionate, more like, I don't know. There's a lot that goes into it. But what was fun about it was that I feel like Ted was like saying that, and I was feeling that, and then over the next 9 years, he and I both kind of learned it at our own paces,
Sure.
And Josh too. Like, it's funny. Josh was saying like, because he has said at various times that he always felt like he was like about 2 years ahead of Ted. Like Ted is like learning stuff that he learned 2 years ago, right. And it's fun just like playing that and synthesizing that into these ridiculous stories about a guy dating in New York.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh man, and there's so much to unpack too. With this show, you guys, unlike any other show and I watch a lot of TV, I do, but unlike any other show, with How I Met Your Mother, the setups, the running jokes, the connections, the little nods and things that are 3 episodes ahead or 4 episodes later that they connect the dots. I mean, you guys are crazy. First of all, you're out of your mind. How do you? I imagine the meme with the guy with the board with lines and.
I mean, it was literally that. It was literally. I mean, we didn't have the yarn. It wasn't full serial killer, but it was right. Like 90% that. I just love that. I mean, Craig and I both love that. There was another writer, Chris Harris, who we worked with, who was there for the whole time, and he was this great puzzle guy and this like math guy who just like loved these kind of challenges, like loved like setting, like saying like, oh, the story with the goat. Wait till you hear about the story of the goat, and then you have to come up with the story of the goat, and like it has to be great and it has to be worth set. Like. We just, we loved that stuff. We loved setting challenges for ourselves, and I think a big influence on it was Arrested Development. Arrested Development was a huge influence on that, for that kind of writing, because that was a show where they would set traps. They would set little traps, and then it would pay off 3 episodes later, and you're just like, it's perfect. And so it was definitely like, we saw that and wanted to do that, and wanted to like kind of ape that as well as we could. I'm trying
to think. There are those setups that got paid off, seasons later, but I'm sure it's one of those things like, oh, we can tie it back to that thing, and that's great. In your mind, what was the longest like payoff that was planned? Does that make sense?
Man. Well, it was the.
Was it the mother?
Because the slap bet, I think we knew. Slap bet, that was season 2.
Right.
And, you have 5 slaps for eternity. And we knew in that moment, like, oh, it's going to be. He's going to slap him in the series finale. Like, we knew that, like, slap number 5 is going to be the series finale. Yeah, I mean, the obviously the ending of the series, too, was something we planned way ahead. Like, purely out of, like. That wasn't even like out of this diabolical like yes it'll be, but it was literally like the kids were getting old and we were like, God, are we gonna want to have the kids in this finale? We better like get them on tape now before he's got a beard and like it's
Which, by the way, you guys brought them back for that season 9 promo, which was hysterical.
That was great.
Hysterical.
Really yeah.
I don't know how you guys got away with some crazy stuff for that one.
I remember shooting that thing and like because they shot the scene from the finale, from the last scene of the series or whatever, and when we brought them back years later and they had grown up like just as we had expected, like I remember in between takes, like we're explaining it to them, and I think it was Lindsay. It was Lindsay and David, and David remembered, but Lindsay like had no idea. Like we had them sign these crazy NDAs, like don't tell it, don't tell a soul.
Right.
And she had just forgotten. She had forgotten. Like she like because we had them like they were shooting so much stuff, and like I think when you're an actor, you like you learn the stuff for that moment, and then you got to like push it out to put the next thing in. But we were so worried all that time, and like and I think David sort of remembered what happened, but like we were. It was interesting.
That's crazy. And actually another question that just came to me too is you were talking about this kind of wistful thinking, and you're writing this show early on. We know it's a 25-year story, right? From where it started to where he's telling his kids in the future, 2030, whatever it was. It's a 25-year story. I mean, and you said Ted was kind of you're writing in that moment. Do you think part of it was like that's the story you wanted? Like you're writing for your own, you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
You wanted your own happy ending. You're like, I want to get to this ending, and I'm going to write a guy who's going to get there.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, except that's not the ending that I would want for myself. So
right.
Like we have there's an alternate ending that we made that sort of is like Ted like living happily ever after with Tracy, which
no consequences.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I know, and a lot of people will say that there's a lot of feelings about how the ending was portrayed and this and that, and like I mean, it's your show. You end it how an asteroid could have destroyed the planet at the end, like, and that's your call.
Where were you 9 years ago?
but at the same time, like, speaking as a veteran, as a person in military service, things don't go to plan. Things don't always have a happy ending. Things can have a happy ending that have consequences. Things that can be complicated but work out. Like it's so complex, and I applaud the fact that you guys had the balls to make it ugly, make it not pretty.
You know what? Like there's a lot of complicated opinions on the ending, and I hold some of them, and I'll just keep them to myself. But like, I definitely, what you're saying is true, and like, I definitely like we definitely, whether we succeeded or not, we definitely did not want to make a finale that you love it and then you forget about it. Like we wanted to make something that swung for the fences. So I'll just
memorable one way or the other. You always be remembered. Yeah, man. Oh my God. Okay, look, it is we've had you now an hour, and I mean,
that was an hour. Oh my god!
That it's been an
All
hour.
Right. Let's keep going. Let's keep. You don't have to, unless you gotta.
Oh, not at all. I think the audience would love to keep you longer, so we'll ask a few more questions, and we'll play it by ear.
Are there questions? Are there?
Absolutely. Oh my God! Don't poke that bear.
Yeah, I want to make sure to get to some of those.
Yeah. No. Okay. Well, here you go. We'll throw out some. Because obviously, I know you have other projects that I wanted to promote and things. But here we'll get some audience questions. So first one. Sure. Swinging for the fences right out the gates. Why was the last season not focused more on Ted and Tracy's relationship, but instead focused on Barney and Robin's doomed relationship?
That's a totally reasonable question. Look, writing's hard. I mean, writing's hard, and you don't know what you're gonna get. If you put yourself in our shoes, like it's season 8, and you're like. So, I'll just to back up, we didn't know if we were going to have a season 9 or not. So we were halfway through season 8, we found out we were going to have a season 9. So halfway through season 8, we were planning to end season 8, and it was going to be maybe you meet the mom, maybe you never meet the mom, and it's just about Ted and Robin. And then when we got that season 9, Craig and I went out to lunch, and we were like, God, do we have another year in this for it? He had already bought a place in New York. He was ready to move, and we had this lunch, and we just sort of said, if we come up with an idea for season 9 that gets us excited enough as writers, that's enough of a challenge, that challenges us and seems really hard and really complicated, and then if we can't think of that, we're not going to do it. We wanted something that was really shook things up.
Yeah.
And then we had this idea for. What if the whole, because, and we had different timelines at work where I think we had sort of called our shot already that he's going to meet her at the end of this, we already said it, I think they said the wedding's coming up and he's going to meet her at the wedding. The wedding's in 3 months. How do we swing that? Do we do a season after they meet? Do we do, which we could have done, which, in hindsight we could have done. But the thing was we hadn't cast Tracy. Mm-hmm. And Kristen Milioti was not a name that we knew. And so at the time, it was what are the things we have that we're working with? We have 5 great actors. How do we keep them? How do we keep this story alive, but not, we weren't sure we wanted to meet the mom because we weren't sure she was going to be great, what if she was terrible? And so that was the choice we made. The choice we made was and out of that problem, we thought we'll get some crazy fun ideas will present themselves, and that was where the idea of doing the whole season over the course of this 48-hour thing came from. And whether we succeeded or not, I that's not for me to judge, but I will say we set ourselves a really good challenge, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud that we took on the challenge of it, because go to hell if you're gonna write something that's not doesn't challenge you. Forget it. That's stupid. I'm not gonna. I have no patience for people who are why didn't you just give us the easy? No, that's boring to me. I don't want to do that.
It's too easy. There's too many shows, and we're not naming names, but there's too many shows that take the easy way out. Let's all put a bow on it, wrap it up, and. Yeah. But I liked it.
I mean, if we and I'm proud of how it came out. I think some of our best episodes came out of that season. Came out like How Your Mother Met Me. I think is a series high point. I think and there's episodes Gary Blauman is one that I just look at where I just feel at every moment it was just all cylinders firing. The rehearsal dinner I loved. I always thought this is my thing about season 9. I felt ultimately looking back, if I could really analyze it, I think we just had too many episodes to make. We had too many episodes to make. We were also trying to develop the original How I Met Your Father. Mm-hmm. It should have been half as long of it, a 12 episode season. I feel if you took out the 10 worst episodes of that season, whatever you judge those episodes to be, that it's the best season we did on the show. That's what That's what I contend. I say that not having watched it in 7 years. So.
No, not at all. I'm a guy who, so I have a sister-in-law who's younger and she's about to go into the Air Force, and she's a big Friends fan. And I would watch her watching Friends over and over, and I said, yeah, Friends is great. It's a great show. It's awesome. I was like, How I Met Your Mother, come on. And she had never seen it. She was younger, never seen it. And I said, I've sat her down. And so it's so funny that's the whole reason I reached out to you, is because we were sitting down watching it. I was like, yeah, I've met Carter Bays before. And I'm like, wait a minute, why haven't I asked Carter Bays to be on the show? But you know, and I'm getting to sit down and not just rewatch it and enjoy it for myself, but to see it through those eyes of someone who's never seen it. And they're like, oh my God, what is this? What does that mean? And what does this mean? And I'm just, I get excited because I'm like, oh, I know that. I know this. I know that. But it's so great to share that. Another question from the audience. Okay, well, this one says, please let him know his show is adored here in India and that he's got super fans over here.
Oh, so that's so lovely.
The show is tracking in India. I know there's I even had a Facebook group reach out to me called How I Met Your Mother Philippines. So they're digging it, man.
Man, that just knocks me out every time I hear something like that, because it really is like that. I mean, it's corny, but I think this is the stuff that connects us. And like we set out to make a show like that wasn't like that you don't have to get every pop culture reference like to understand it. Like we just set out to make a show that's just like, what are just the baseline human experiences that we can all relate to, and like that tells me that we did our job.
It's universal. It's absolutely universal. All right, Diego says Marshall became a lawyer at Columbia College. What was he studying at Wesleyan?
Wow, I don't know. If I know, I'm sure that there is an answer. I would have known this,
right?
Like back, like season 9, when my brain was just like I hadn't lived a life for 9 years, and I had only lived these characters' lives, and I knew everything about them. And then I'm
sure it's on some wiki somewhere, some fan wiki.
Like, what did he officially major in? I don't know, but like he was mainly reading books about the Loch Ness Monster and Sasquatch, I think.
Yeah,
that was it.
Sandwich making. Point out, my wife is actually in the chats, and she'll hate me for not mentioning this, but we were such big fans of the show. We caught it late. Like, we didn't get on board until season 2 or 3. Watched it live throughout the rest. I've watched it many times. When she was pregnant, as crazy cravens go, one of her things was she loved watching How I Met Your Mother. That was just her go-to. And it's so funny that even after our son was born, we would watch it, and like, he was kind of a fussy baby, but for some reason, when we watched the show, he would calm down. True story. True story.
Wow. I hope he didn't learn any language.
But now it's so funny that he's 4 and we're watching it now, and the theme song comes on. Wherever he is in the house, he'll run to the TV and do the ba 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 ba, and he'll do it with us. So it's such a family thing. So it really is. It's an awesome show that has brought our family together. So thank you personally for me.
Thank you. We always wanted it to be a show that like you can watch when you're sick. Like, we wanted to be that kind of show that like is just like comforting when you need something.
Let's see. It's sad. Okay, it's sad that we don't get to see some of the important things like Ted's bachelorette party. I think they meant bachelor party. Ever learn Carl's last name or the name of the third child of Marshall and Lily?
The third. Wait, do we not learn the third child? I guess we don't. Do we? Carl's last name. I don't have an answer for any of those, unfortunately. But I will say, Carl is named after Craig and I, our assistant. When we were developing the show, we had this assistant whose name was, and still is, Carl McLaren. And Carl, and we named the bar after Carl McLaren. And Carl, fun story about Carl. Joe Nieves was originally cast to play a cop, because we had this whole, I don't know if you remember the pilot, there's a whole thing about Marshall like scared to open a bottle of champagne, and Marshall has like fear issues that he needs to get over. And we wrote this whole scene that involved Marshall like finally like finding his confidence, and it ends with him like yelling at a cop and getting arrested, basically. Like, that was going to happen. And then we realized, like, and that was the story. Like, late in the game, up until like right before we started shooting, and then the night before we shot, we realized like this pilot is going to be an hour and a half long. Like this isn't going to work. We have to cut something out. So we cut that scene, and then the next day, we are on the set to start shooting the first scenes from the pilot, and we're very nervous. And there's this cop walking around, and we're like, "Why is there a cop here? Like, what is going on? Are we going to get arrested or something? What happened here?" And what we find out is that it's Joe Nieves, and someone had made a mistake and forgot to call him to tell him that this was cut. So he came in, got into his wardrobe, and was like hanging out on set. And we realized like, oh my God, this guy is here. It's 6 a.m. He's probably excited because he booked a pilot. And now like we have to like be here and witness him being told like, oh, sorry, it's your scene's cut. He's got to go home. And like, I don't know, it just felt like a moment that was not like, it felt like we can't start the show on this moment of like a guy's day being ruined, you know? And he probably told his friends like, hey, I'm going to be on this thing. So Rob Greenberg, who was our producer at the time, who's a great writer also and helped us out, I think he had the idea of, let's make him the bartender. Let's write a line, like one line, and I think that line was "You should have kissed her," and then I think we added a few other lines after that. But like you know, at the very end when everyone's telling Ted he should have kissed her, and then Carl says he should have kissed her. So we wrote him that line just so like we could tell him like, hey, guess what? You're not going to be playing the cop, but you're going to be the bartender. And I mean, you know, cut to 9 years later, he's still on the, like we would have never seen him again if he had been the cop in that scene.
That's right.
And he got a 9-year gig out of it. So I was very happy with that turnout. And he's a lovely, lovely guy, and he was just comedy gold every time we went to him.
There you go. Yeah, for all intents and purposes, his last name is the bartender. Carl,
yeah,
the bartender.
Bartender.
Let's see. So, okay, this is a question, I guess, about the upcoming show. I heard that that's what they're saying. I heard that in How I Met Your Father, the main character, who I know they're calling her Sophie, right? That's correct?
I believe I can reveal that. Yes, I think
it was in the papers. It's fine. But Sophie, there's a theory here that says it's the third child, Marshall and Lily's third child, grown up and telling the story of how she met the father. I'm sure that's something you couldn't reveal even if it was true. But there you go.
I can't reveal it. I can't. There's so much stuff I want to reveal, but I can't.
Of course. I'm only asking what they say. But speaking of that though, something I'm sure you could talk to is being a Star Wars fan the way you are.
Yes.
You know there's a very thin tightrope you have to walk when doing something like a sequel. How much homage do you pay to what's the original, and how much do you create that's new and fresh? How do you feel that? How are you guys going to navigate that?
Because it really is like, when I think about it, it's like, I hadn't even put two and two together on this, but I think you've hit the nail on the head, because this show, and I don't want to give away any story stuff or any plot, but like, there are things about it that it is kind of like the way The Force Awakens. And whatever your feelings about The Force Awakens, and I know that like that I don't even get into like Star Wars, but there was a feeling of, I remember when that came out, feeling like, holy shit, Star Wars is back. And what was fun about it was that it remixed things that you loved already in Star Wars, but had enough new stuff, had like, you know, Finn, like I thought, like, you know, and I will get into it a little bit. They should have done more with Finn. Finn should have been the main character of the whole trilogy. It should have focused on that. That was the most interesting storyline. But Finn, like you have like the stormtrooper who you know changed sides. Like that's really cool. But like it still had like enough of the bedrock stuff. Like BB-8 was the R2-D2 of the piece, and but like a cool new version. That's what How I Met Your Father is, kind of, and I feel like that's a good, you know, and either that'll strike terror in people's eyes and hearts, or they'll be excited about it. But that is like, you know, you want it to have all the archetypes, and all the sort of the general story moves, but like still like be specific and new and fresh, and I think it is all of those things. I mean that's why it blew us away when we read the script, because it really felt like they really threaded that needle of like capturing what was there already, but then adding all this new stuff to it. So
yeah. Now I do have I know the answer to this one, but I'll let you answer it. They say Marshall and Lily always made bets on everyone's life. The last scene shot should have been Lily finally paying up to Marshall, but I know there's a deleted scene for that, but I'll let you.
Yeah. Well, there was a deleted scene. It was and it was it's funny, my memory of that scene, because when we were shooting it, there was the feeling that like, oh, this is gonna be the last scene of the entire series, and my memory of that scene was like, wait, it was Lily paying Marshall? Was that what it was?
Right. Because she had bet they wouldn't end up together, and Marshall was always the holdout, going, give it time.
Marshall thought they would end up together, right? Was that what it was?
Robin and Ted, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I think it was that like the phone rings, like Ted goes and holds up the blue French horn, and they get back together, and their phone rings, and Lily's like, She hangs up. She says, "Pay up." And he's like, no, sorry, Marshall does that. Marshall says, "Pay up," and she gives it. And I remember when we were shooting it, there was this cute thing that they were doing where each one of them wanted to have the last line of the series. so it was like, "Pay up." All right, you win. That's right, I do win. I'll get you next time. No, you won't. Yes, I will. Like they just kind of kept going. Like nobody wanted. It was like,
this is it.
Like fade out on both of them talking at the same time. No, neither of them would yield the floor.
That's awesome. So there you go. There's the answer for that one. Yeah. Another one saying that the sequel should be Barney's daughter grown up, telling that's it. Any girl that's ever been on the show, that's who it should be. There you go. We'll skip all that. Although I will say, one of the most impactful scenes I never forget in that show is when Barney's holding his baby girl and he does his speech, and man, that was incredible.
Monologue to babies. That's our old writer's trick. A guy giving a monologue to a baby, home run every time. Always does. For some reason, I don't know what it is. The vulnerability, that was like, what was fun about this show is like you could just synthesize every feeling and experience you had in your life, and like I have always rolled my eyes at the whole like girl dad thing, and the whole like, well, as a father of daughters, I feel, this whole thing of like, I didn't feel this way until I had a daughter of my own, and da-da-da-da-da. All that's nonsense, and you should have a moral compass before you become a parent. All that being said, it really like, it changes you when you have a kid. There's just something like very beautiful about it, and very like, it really does realign a lot of things that you didn't even know needed realigning, and that's how I felt when my daughter was born. And so
that's
as a father of daughters, that's what I have to say.
Yeah. So. Now, and two, this is a show built on Easter eggs and nods and all these little references and things. Is there anything that you kind of maybe put in there just for yourself, not necessarily a nod to other shows, but anything you can share?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's full of stuff like that. It's full of like, I often looked at it as like a time capsule that I just wanted to like, everything that I care about at this point in my life. I want to do a reference to every movie that I love. I want to get a song by every band that I love. Like I had a Replacement song in there. I was so proud of getting them in there. Guided by Voices. Like every band that I liked, like I made sure to like get at least one song by that band. Like it really felt like it was like this kind of Noah's Ark of all of my accumulated pop culture things that I loved, and I wanted to like sort of like get them all like there. And it went very like there was a show that I loved on like from the 80s, a mini series called Wild Palms, which is like this weird trippy show about virtual reality, and it was set in like the not too distant future. There's one episode of the show that's full of references to Wild Palms that I don't know if anyone's ever like picked up on this or paid attention to it, but it was an episode called Everything Must Go, which is I think an episode of that show is called Everything Must Go, and it's sort of like a running line that you hear over and over in the show. But there's like 6 references to wild palms in that episode, and we were constantly doing stuff like that, just things that we love, things that we care about. We'd stick them in the show so that they're there forever.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And speaking of things that were in there that are important to you, you and Craig got to play fake paramedics. What was it like being in front of the camera for that one?
It was. So I came from Letterman, and at Letterman, you do your skits, and you get like the stagehands to do the skits, and that was the joke of the show. Was always like, this guy's a carpenter in real life. He's not an actor, but we have him come out and deliver a monologue, which was all very fun. But I think it was somewhat poisonous for writers who want to go on to like work with actors, because it makes you think that you inevitably develop this attitude that actors are props, and like the writing is what's funny. The writing is the comedy, right. And then the actors, their job is just to say the words.
They're puppets.
I don't really feel that way. I don't think I ever really felt that way, but like there's like a little thread of that like if they don't act well, it'll still be funny because the jokes are funny, which is just so fundamentally wrong. And I so like regret ever feeling that way. And and I say all this because that was the moment that I realized what a incredible art form acting is, when I had to actually act for 3 seconds without even having a line. But like I had to like you don't realize how hard it is just to not look at any of the cameras, because there's 4 cameras. Everywhere you look, there's a lens, and if you look at any of those, then you're looking at the audience. So like if you see me in that, I'm like looking down the whole time, because like I know if I look up, I'm gonna buzz one of the lenses, and like I just like walked away from that like in a cold sweat, and like I feel like I gave Josh Radnor a hug and was like, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. That's where you realize like, oh, we're just mission control, and these guys are the astronauts. These guys are up there flying the space shuttle, and like we're just like, we can write them a good script, but they're the ones that go up and do it, and my hat's off to them.
I love that. Yeah. They're the ones risking their lives out there. They're putting their necks on the line.
Their necks on the line.
There you go. Yeah. And speaking of kind of cameo appearances, you guys had a ton of celebrities and cameos and people. I think one that a lot of people don't realize, because you had Britney Spears, you had Katy Perry, you had all these huge names.
All my heroes: Katy Perry, Britney Spears, Kardashian.
Everybody. Yeah. But then there's a scene where you have Conan O'Brien in the background, and it's never referenced, never mentioned.
That was this great one of the actors, I can't even remember which actor it was, but somebody was like involved with some sort of like charity auction at some event, and we auctioned off we did this frequently just to like raise money for charities. Like we would like auction off like, hey, come be an extra on the show.
Yeah.
And people would bid on it, and like it would usually raise a good amount of money. And at this particular party, Conan O'Brien was there, and I don't know, maybe he'd had a few too many to drink or something, but he started bidding on it, and he won. And but then it was so much fun. I mean, first of all, we got to like go and like meet with him, and like, which for Craig and I, like he's like beyond talented and funny, and he's every bit as funny in person as he is on his show, and like that was such a treat. But I just also loved the way like the conditions of it were like, I don't want a line. I don't want to be like referred to in any way. Mm-hmm. I want this to be something that like people like are eating their SpaghettiOs while they're watching, and they like stop and wait, was that no it could be like and like it was. And I remember being in the edit room, and it was like I remember it was like Captain Kirk and Scotty like me telling the editor, Sue Fetterman, who won a bunch of Emmys and is like the greatest editor of comedy. But even she was like, well, we have to like see him on screen a little bit. And I kept saying like, cut even more, cut 10 more frames, 10 more frames, 10. And she was like, I can't cut any more, Captain. But by the end, like it really was just like, he just walked by. There he is. He's gone. I was very pleased with that. I thought that was really fun.
Yeah, he bid on the background extra experience, and he got it. Like that's
And we treated him like a background extra. It was not highlighted in any way. He was just there, and then he's gone.
Oh man, that's so funny. We'll give you a couple more questions. I don't want to hold you too late.
Sure.
So everyone gets a musical number in this series except Lily. Why?
Oh, that's not by accident. And believe me, if Allie had come to us and said, "Guys, I gotta sing," like we would have happily written it. But she is not. She has so many talents, and she's such a skilled comedian. But she is not a singer, and she's the first to admit it. And I just saw this episode. There's a moment in, I think like is it like the first season or the second season where like Marshall and Lily they have like their duet in karaoke.
Right. Yep.
And they're singing "Don't Go Breaking My Heart."
Mm-hmm.
And I remember at the time like working with Allison to figure out a way to do this, because she was like, "Guys, I cannot sing. I'm not going to try to sing. It's going to people will turn off their television sets." So we did the thing where like Jason sings "Don't Go Breaking My Heart," and she's like making her way up to the stage and gets to it just to be able to say "tried," and that was all the singing she did on the whole show. And yeah, it was So we would have loved to have her sing, but she was the first. She would be the first to tell you that that's not her bag. So
right. So I know that
light face.
You look fine. Josh. I read that Josh kept the blue French horn, and Kobe kept like the Robin Sparkles jacket. Mm-hmm. I'm curious, did you snake anything from the set? Did you?
Oh God, it was a fantastic scramble, and it's funny, like without revealing too much, there's like, as we talk about this new one, it's like, are there things that I can donate back to that might be needed? Because I snatched up. I got some good stuff. I got a booth from McLaren's, wow, which my kids now like do their coloring at this booth. So it's like, it's just the booth around. I'm excited for them to actually see the show, so I can say like, that's your booth, like that right there. I have I've got the swords. I've got I've got a can of Tantrum, a half crushed can of Tantrum.
Nice.
I've got I've got one of the umbrellas. There's like 3 umbrellas. I think me, Craig, and Pam got the 3 umbrellas. Yeah, there's every now and then I'll find some other thing like, oh yeah, I guess I stole that from the set. They're really a mad scramble, like everybody.
I mean, these are things that should be in a museum, to be studied and worshipped.
Barfing on them and stuff.
All right, last one, because I know How I Met Your Mother 2 wasn't necessarily, a superhero genre or sci-fi in the sense. You guys never really did Comic-Cons right up until the last season. You made an appearance at San Diego Comic-Con. I'm curious, as a guy who was into sci-fi and things, what was that experience like, getting to bring your show there and experience in person?
It was one of the best weekends of my life. It was so much fun. It was just terrific, because at that moment, we'd been pushing for Comic-Con appearances, and like other shows like in the 20th Century Fox family had done Comic-Con things. Like I think like My Name Is Earl did that, and we kept pushing, and we kept hearing back like, oh, you guys aren't really a comic book kind of show. Like I guess My Name Is Earl had like comic book stuff to it. It had sort of a comic vibe, and they had like a big fan base in that world. But I think it was sort of a matter of like, because we talked about sci-fi and like they're Star Wars nerds on the show, but like it wasn't a sci-fi show, and it didn't quite fit their criteria. But I think as the show went on, Comic-Con changed, and Comic-Con became a little more like inclusive to things that were outside of the specific narrow
mainstream, so to speak.
Yeah, like mainstream stuff, and it was just it was fantastic, and we like. It was just like in that sweet spot when like it was like we filled up the main room, like the big room,
Hall H, yeah,
the Hall H, yes, that's right. And it was just the cheers when the cast walked out was just so like gratifying, and I was so excited for them, like that they had like come this far, and like it was a real high water mark for the show.
Absolutely.
Or for our experience making the show, I think.
Yeah. It's a shame that you guys didn't get to do it more because of, I mean, there's such a passionate fan base for the show. Okay, I want to wrap us up because, you know, you got kids, I got kids, we got kids. I want to give you a minute to promote because I know you have an upcoming book. I know that we talked about, you know, Molly and the Moon, and I also read that there's a comedy show about a Italian Puerto Rican family too. I don't know if you're ready to.
Oh my God, that's a few years old. That unfortunately never did not.
That didn't make it. Oh no, man, I got excited.
It was Chris DiStefano and Diane Guerrero, and it was just such a fun show and a fun bunch and Chaz Palminteri and Annie Potts and we just had so much fun with it, but it didn't get picked up, unfortunately.
I saw that one last minute as I was doing some digging. I was like, oh my God, I'm excited. This is gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that one.
I'm Italian and Puerto Rican, so I got.
Yeah, that's your. Yeah.
I had a personal stake in the matter, but it's okay. Yeah. It's okay. But go ahead, talk about your book. I mean, you know, let people know where they can find it, what it's about, all the stuff.
It's coming out in the summer of 2022. Next summer, like a year from now-ish, and I'm just tremendously excited about it. It's called The Mutual Friend. It's a big book. It's long. I don't know. This is the first time I've had to promote it anywhere, so I don't know how I'm doing here. I don't know if that's a good sale. You get a lot of book for your dollar. So that's,
can I take a stab at it because I want to help you here.
Sure.
It's centered on an ensemble of 20-something New Yorkers over the course of one summer as they navigate love, loss, ambition, and faith. It's about an aspiring Dr. Alice who must face a list of potential suitors vying for her attention, including, and I won't go into the whole pitch about it, but people should check it out. Absolutely.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, it's if you liked How I Met Your Mother, it's definitely like. You know, I've been working on it off and on for a long time, and just in the last few years, I really started diving in on it. But it's something that sort of like continuing that part of my brain from working on How I Met Your Mother, and sort of so it's got all the like setups and payoffs and all that stuff is all in there, and it's just a fun book to read on the beach. I promise it's a good time, lots of laughs, and it's a cute little story.
I can't wait. Can't wait to get my hands on it, and hopefully we'll get you back. You know, when it's time to talk about it and promote it and do the thing. And
great, I'd love to.
It'd be fantastic. All right, the last thing I always like to say is, you know, let the people know where you at on social media. Where can they follow you? How can they be involved with what you're doing?
Sure. Okay, yeah. Well, I'm on I'm Carter Bays at Carter Bays on Twitter. And I'm at Carter L. Bays on Instagram. I don't know if I could plug anything, I want to plug ASAP because I just to talk about it for 2 seconds, like sure. Which is sort of how we know each other. It's this wonderful program, the Armed Services Arts Partnership, and they are. I think it's at ASAP Vets. Oh God, I hope I got that right. I think that's their Twitter handle, yeah. But. Look them up. They're fantastic, especially if there's any people in the military listening. It's just this great organization that I work with. I've been working with for a few years that helps veterans returning to coming home and teaching them the skills of stand-up comedy and comedy writing. And it's something that I've loved doing, and I try to teach a workshop every year, and so I urge everyone to check them out because they're
it's a phenomenal organization. I didn't even touch on it because we have I've had Sam on before and we've talked about it before, so I didn't want to fill it up. But I will say because of them, we got to be in a room. Last thing we'll say, we got to be in a room and we wrote a make-believe episode of How I Met Your Mother called Doc Block, which was I honest can say this, one of the highlights of my life. Was that experience?
It was one of the highlights of my life, and I'm gonna tell you, I took the train home thinking and I probably shouldn't even say this to get anyone's hopes up, but I had this feeling of if we were ever gonna do a How I Met Your Mother reunion, this is how we do it, and it would be with this script because it was a genuinely funny story, and it was all about the gang because it was military themed, so it was the gang during
Fleet Week. Yep.
And all the hijinks that they get into during Fleet Week, and everyone had a great story, and like, I mean, the whole class, like everyone like brought so much great material to it, and I was just knocked out by the talent in that room.
It was
it was a lot of fun. We like broke the story, had the whole like outline. I've still got it somewhere. Maybe we should do it.
I have pictures if you want. We can link up because all I remember is, you know, like, oh, well, what you know, we were talking about like how does the 3-arc structure work, and then next thing you know, we start pitching ideas, and you're writing like feverishly on the wall with the marker.
And that was like discovering this muscle memory. It's like riding a bicycle that I hadn't ridden a bicycle in so long. It was like, oh yeah, I remember how to do this. You draw 2 lines and like you do act 1, act 2, act 3, and yeah, it was great fun. I should if you have pictures of that, feel free to post them. Like I feel like I want to post like the outline or the so people can see what it was.
Who knows? Maybe How I Met Your Father needs a Fleet Week episode. I don't know.
No, they're still doing that. I think. I don't know if there's still Fleet Week. If there is, then
yeah, there's something. But anyway, I've got that now forever recorded on film that me and Carter worked together. No one can take that away from me. Carter Bays, this has been absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much for your time. Everyone is going nuts in the chats, and they're so happy you're here. We hope to have you back in the future for another episode. Anytime you want to come back, man, you are forever a friend of the show.
I'd love to. This is great fun. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Guys, we're going to take a short break. I'm going to go say goodbye to Carter, and we'll be back in a few minutes. All right, shots.
You're listening to the sounds of WTF Nation Radio. You're listening to the sounds of WTF Nation Radio.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? We are back. We're back. Oh, man, that was incredible. Thank you guys so much for hanging out and watching. I see there's over 50 people watching live right now, so thank you guys so much for hanging in there, checking us out, listening to the interview. I got my favorite dude, my main man. You with me there?
I'm here.
He's here. It's on me for not turning the camera back on.
It's fine. It's whatever.
There he is. There's that handsome face.
I have the face for radio.
Scruffy.
We're good.
Scruffy face. Yeah, dude. How awesome was Carter Bays?
Dude, that was tight. That was amazing.
The dude is just, I don't know. I feel like we're so fortunate that the people that we get to talk to, Colin Mockery, Louis Anderson, Clark Gregg, like all these guys who are legitimate Hollywood. I mean, and I mean that in the nicest way, not like, oh, well, so Hollywood, but like they are of the LA people. They are of the entertainment industry, and they're the nicest people.
Absolutely.
The nicest people that when you really get to, you know, you crack open that egg, what's inside is good. I don't know how else to say that. You know what I mean? Well, go ahead.
Well, and you hear like, and I know you've got more like interaction with people, like especially like, you know, more important people than I do. But you always hear like, oh, well, they like to be real private, or they don't really like it. They you know, or they can be real assholes or whatever, you know, like it's really cool when we get to like talk to people and find out they're not that way, and maybe they are, and they're just kind of putting on like, I'm sure they probably have to have like a private side or whatever, but it's nice to be able to just kind of bullshit with people and talk about, well, stuff he's obviously passionate about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And all these people, they're obviously passionate about their work or else they wouldn't do it. You know, and you can tell like the people who are good at their job are the ones who enjoy it. Yeah. Right.
And I think too, the thing that I love most about this show and getting to talk to these people in the entertainment industry is that we can sometimes, as fans, put them on pedestals. Oh my God, you're the greatest actor. Oh my God, you're the greatest director. Oh my God, you're the greatest writer. And it's so refreshing and nice to get to see that the human side of them, right? That he's a guy who had problems, you know, with relationships and didn't know where he stood and you know and I mean, opening up and sharing about, you know, Craig and his son's, you know, health issues, and like these are people, At the end of the day, they are people. They're people that do extraordinary things. The same way I look at like an athlete who, a football star or Olympian who does these extraordinary things. He's just a person who gets to do this, like that level of passion. Oh, it's infectious. I don't know about you, but it's infectious.
It is. And when you guys were talking about doing like the workshop together and stuff and like writing the scripts and stuff, I'm just like, you could tell like in both you guys, it was just, I don't know, it's neat. Like, but like you said, like the whole experience, I obviously don't do a lot of talking in this because no one wants to, it's really stupid of me to try to chime in, but you guys just have like, a great dialogue together, and it's nice to kind of to witness that. And it's really cool. And I'm really happy that, people do give us an hour of their time to
or more,
or an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes, whatever, depending on the person. So
no, it's funny too, because right before we went on air, I was sitting there talking to him. I said, hey, listen, thank you for your time. I said, hey, we're booked. We got you for an hour. That was the agreed upon. I will get you out of here at an hour. And he's like, yeah, because it's like I got the kids and I got to put them. I got to do the bath thing. I said, hey, I totally get it. I got a little one myself. I understand. We're gonna get you out here. So when I'm like, hey, it's an hour, and he's like, let's keep going. I'm like, okie dokie, strap in, folks. We're going in overtime, which is always a fun. Like, it does. If I could take a moment to pat myself on the back, it does make me feel good that somebody is having such a good time that although they've scheduled this block of time, fuck it, let's do some more. Like that's always a great. Like we're on a run, man. We had Colin Mockery who did extra time. We had Eddie McClintock who did an hour extra. We talked for 2 hours, and now another 45 minutes with this guy. It's awesome. So
now, if you have other people who want to come on, but they'll only do an hour, we will let you go after an hour. We don't make you stay. We've never made anybody stay for an hour and a half or more. They enjoy it. They enjoy our company. They enjoy bullshitting with us because, and this is kind of a resounding theme too. Like how we sit here and we're kind of in awe of the things that they do. They're kind of in awe of the things that we've done as well. So, like maybe not us individually, but us collectively is the things that we do. So it's kind of it's like a mutual respect for each other for different reasons.
Sure.
But we do things that they don't or have done things. I'm sure whatever. Same with you and same with everyone who listens. We're at different ends of the spectrum.
Sure.
As far as like, I'm never going to be on television. And if I am, I'm going to be in the background, or I'm going to be like the drunk trailer park guy fucking describing a tornado or something, right? But those guys are never going to be in a fucking Humvee rolling through Baghdad or something too. So it's kind of an interesting, interesting dynamic as to what is what.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
But they never jump out of an airplane. Just saying.
I feel like we've got time for one more quick. What is that? Is that our sound cue? That's our cue, folks. We have a Tiger King news for Radar. I know how much Radar loves his Tiger King, so I
do love my Tiger.
I got one quick story, Tiger King story for you, Radar, before we sign off for the night. The headline reads: Tiger King's Joe Exotic accepts Carol Baskin's offer to reduce prison sentence. Yeah. So basically, Carol Baskin went out and publicly said, like, hey, I'm trying to get this Big Cat Act public safety thing, gotten up. And, if he was willing to jump on board with it, we would help and support him getting a reduced sentence. Nice. And so basically, Mr. Exotic himself kind of called BS on it, and he's like, look, fine, I'll call your bluff. He says it's time for Carol and Howard to put up or shut the hell up because I'm accepting their offer. And I'm going to take it one step further than that. It is time to get on the phone to President Biden or whoever they need to that they've got in their little financial pocket and say, hey, Joe is willing to support a big cat bill to help protect cats in America from being exploited, but we need to keep our end of the deal and get Joe a pardon because this wasn't really about murder for hire or shooting 5 tigers. This was about exploiting Joe to support Carol's agenda. So yeah, that was his whole statement. But basically saying that like he's calling her out, saying it's just a publicity stunt, but that he's gonna call her on her bluff and that he's willing to support her. He's willing to, he even said like, I'm willing to go in front of the Senate, the Congress, the president, whoever. They want to end big cats in America. But yeah,
because what I envision in my mind right now, what I'm seeing right in my radar brain is you know when like Jon Stewart goes in front of Congress and Adam Carrera has done it too. Like they've got like, you know, they're comedians, right?
Yeah.
They're funny people,
but they have passions, sure.
But they have passion, and they go up there and they speak so eloquently, and like make a bold statement and a presence in there talking about 9/11 victims or
Firefighters Fund and
firefighter fund, and I think Jon Stewart was doing something for like
veterans
pits and stuff
too.
too.
Burn pits, yep.
So I mean, like he gets up there and he's so funny and real, like all the stuff he does is so funny. He gets up there, he's so eloquent and well spoken and funny and like, but appropriately funny, right? I just see Joe fucking the fuck Tiger King, woo! Go up there fucking shooting his fucking pistol arrows like a fucking tiger and like mullet, and then like a gay toothless dude like hanging on his arm, like, and he's just like doing like he's like doing meth in the fucking chambers. I just
this is America.
This is America. We need to save the tigers.
He comes riding in on a tiger. We got to stop this tiger exploitation. He's riding one in.
And he's got like and he does like a bucking bronco stance and pulls out a 6-shooter. It's like pow, pow.
Yes.
Pew pew pew.
Exactly. But yeah, so
but okay, let's be honest. Trump didn't pardon him, right? What makes him think Biden's going to?
Yeah. There was a great quote too from Joe Exotic. I didn't include it, but it's basically the sum of course Trump didn't pardon me. I'm too gay. Like that was the sentiment of it. It was I'm too gay.
That may be his fucking ticket out of there.
Being too gay?
Yeah. Okay, look at this angle. I'm gonna slide sideways a little bit. Okay, Biden wants to get the LGBT community on board with voting for him, right?
Sure. I mean, I think he's already in office. I don't think he needs to be voted anymore.
But he's got another one coming up.
in some time, sure.
Just saying that.
If
somebody wants to stay in power for nearly ever, all they need to do is legalize weed, let Joe Exotic out of prison. Just saying. Let him go, man. He done served his time. Carol Baskin wants to bury the hatchet. Might as well let
him go. So that was a couple weeks ago. It's a slightly older story, and you know he's still there. The latest announcement out of the Joe Exotic camp is Joe Exotic believes he may have prostate cancer, among many other ailments. That's the quote. Amongst many other ailments. He is begging President Biden and Vice President Harris and others to step in and help. He says that he tested his PSA count, came back high, but that the prison doesn't provide adequate testing, and so he needs to be released so he can undergo, further testing and treatment. He says, and I quote, "I'm riddled with disease. I have lost a tremendous amount of weight. The mouth sores are out of control. I throw up more than I eat. I don't want anyone's pity. What I need is when John Phillips gets the evidence he's working on, I need the world to help him get President Biden, VP Harris, and the Attorney General to listen to the evidence." So, yeah.
I mean, whatever. If he's got cancer, let him out. I mean, kind of that way we don't got to pay for his treatment.
I mean,
just saying. He's in federal prison, so I don't know if people know how this works, but federal inmates, we take care of them.
Yeah.
And I mean, God, the gay Tiger Meth Head has prostate cancer. I kind of think that's hilarious a little bit.
You're going to hell, Mr. Radar.
Whatever. All my buddies are going to be there. Fuck it.
Party at my place. All right.
Right.
That is going to wrap it up for another week. Another amazing, astounding, phenomenal week of Pop Culture Warrior. Mr. Radar, can you tell the folks at home what they have coming up the rest of the week?
Well, you have been listening to Pop Culture Warrior with CQ and Radar and our guest, Mr. Carter Bays. Thank you so much, sir, for coming on with us tonight. Well, with CQ, not with me. But anyway, you have been listening to us. Tomorrow night is Wednesday night, which means Danza, Day of No Scheduled Activities. We will have our night off. Thursday night, Sergeant's Time. Ice, Spanky, Sergeanting. Doing all the things. Active Army, National Guard Reserves. I think there's some ACFT talk coming up. Friday night Freedom with Kaz and Pookie. Still no bubble for Pookie. We won't talk about that. Saturday and Sunday, the weekend, the time off. We get a 48-hour pass. We will be off. And then come back on Monday for the Monday edition. Ice and Flash. Ice by himself. Ice and Mom. Ice and a guest. Who knows? We just got all kinds of things going on. It's Monday edition with Ice. He's going to be there. It's going to be a good time. Come back to us on Tuesday, Pop Culture Warrior.
And shall we tease who we have coming on next week?
Are you going to do it, or do you want me to do it? Because if I'm going to do it, I need to pull up my email.
I
don't mind.
Go ahead and pull it up. But I'll get the people excited here, guys. If you
today 8:28.
Yeah, if you guys thought today was a big one, wait till you see what we have lined up for next week. We have someone who, he's a thoroughbred actor. I mean, he's been in a bunch of things, but most notably, the role that launched him into the stratosphere was that of Pedro in Napoleon Dynamite. The man's name is Efren Ramirez. You want to read on him?
Yes. You want me to read it?
Yeah, go ahead, man. Read up on him.
Efren Ramirez has been working as a professional actor for many years. Initially, his career consisted of guest star appearances on television as he appeared in You want a Marine to read shit? Really? This is fucking dumb. Diverse roles on ER, American Dad, Judging Amy, The District, Mad TV, and Scrubs. However, in his memorable patrol. Jesus Christ. Oh, thank you, Wonderland Beers. Where was that? However, it was his memorable portrayal of Pedro in the feature film Napoleon Dynamite that dramatically launched what has become a hugely prolific acting career. Efren Ramirez currently resides in Los Angeles and New York when he isn't filming. He is spinning records as a guest DJ in clubs all across the country, has published his first book, Direct Your Own Life. Efren recently returned from a USO tour visiting our troops in Bahrain, UAE, Dubai, and Africa. So
doesn't that sound like...
It sounds like I can't fucking read. Is what it sounds like.
Well, if you put all the sentences together, it sounds amazing.
You can edit that, right? You can make it sound like
we'll get it in post. We'll get it in post. It's fine.
All right.
But Efren is an incredible dude.
And a DJ,
a badass dude at that. He supports our troops, obviously doing the USO tours. When I reached out to his people, I want to say he was the fastest. Yes, let's get a date booked in. He was so fuck yeah, let's go. Let's do it. So I'm super excited for that interview. I think our conversation.
Excited about it too.
Yeah.
You've talked about it. You made mention to me about this interview coming up, and it kind of got put on. I'm not gonna say put on the back burner, but I kind of forgot about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had so many other ones like boom, 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 boom coming up, and I was
a lot of them came in fast. Yeah.
Yep. And then I was like, "Fuck yeah, Pedro's gonna be here. I'm gonna vote for him."
Yeah. We're gonna see if he can vote for WTF Nation Radio.
Absolutely.
Vote for WTF.
It's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be a great one. I'm super excited. So with that,
just don't have me read to him.
We're gonna have like Radar's Corner where he reads us
No, well, he struggles to read anything. It's gonna be like a ketchup packet or some shit. Fucking box.
This is too much fun. Too much fun. All right, guys. That is it for today. You know what's coming. You got the breakdown. You got the interview. You got the headlines. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching and sticking with us. We appreciate you. We can't do this without you. So until next time, be good to each other. I don't know, man. I still got no sign off. I need a sign off.
You don't have a sign off.
I don't have a sign off. Just come back next week.
Bye. See ya.
Bye. See ya. Come back next week. See you guys. Peace. Shots.